reciprocating with sex based on, oh, I love you, you're my daddy, etc. This is all rape and trafficking, according to you.
No, can you define it as such? How? I don't understand how camming. If somebody's paying for sexual services, that's not trafficking. That's you're paying for prostitution or paying for sexual services.
But it's based on the high amounts of money that are paid in a sugar daddy type of relationship.
Do you want to talk about sugar daddies, or do you want to talk about camming? I don't know why we're bringing these.
It's an overlapping phenomenon.
It's not over. These are two completely distinctly different things.
Well, no.
I have the video.
Cam girls also state that they love these clients, that they try to develop these kinds of parasitic relationships with them for the purpose of extracting more and more money from them. So do you think that's exploitative of a sexual nature?
If they're to make it trafficking, they would have to be soliciting sexual material from the men and then republishing it and then making money off of it. You could argue that it's a form of coercion or fraud. Sure. I don't know if anybody's been prosecuted for that.
Coercion or fraud, and it's a sexual nature. So those are the definitions that you brought up for.
No, trafficking requires the exploitation part. I can read the definition for you for a third part.
To lie to someone and then play with their emotions in order to extract money from them. That is exploitation.
No. I'm talking about exploitation insofar as it's defined in the Romanian criminal code, because that's what we're arguing about today, not whether or not girls exploit their sugar daddies. Article 182 clearly states that it's forcing persons into prostitution, pornography, in view of obtaining and distributing pornographic material or any other types of sexual exploitation.
But
that's what exploitation means.
You consider forcing for Andrew Tate to tell someone that he loves them and to mislead them about his feelings for them.
Correct.
You consider that part of exploitation. So I'm pointing out that women can also do that too, and it's actually something that's monetized into entire industries, like the sugar daddy industry, like the cam.
If Andrew Tate was just saying that to get girls to send him nudes, that would be different. But he's bringing the girls out, meaning he's transporting them, which is an important part of Article 210, and he's monetizing them, which is another important part of Article 210, I think subsection C, and he's stealing from them, which I think hits subsection B, which counts as a form of exploitation. He's literally stealing. He gives advice on how to steal from their taxes.
That is exploitation. So it's you have no problem with exploitation then if it's done by cam girls.
Exploitation is one measure of sex trafficking as laid out in the Romanian criminal code. If you want to have a separate debate on whether or not cam girls are exploitative, or on whether or not the CIA or the FBI killed MLK, hold on. If you want to talk about any of these other topics, we can. But I came here with a whole bunch of evidence and a whole bunch of information relating to Andrew Tate and whether or not the actions that he's admitted to on camera and that have been leaked by the prosecution and that have been claimed by other second and third party individuals constituted sex trafficking insofar as it's defined by the 2014 Romanian Criminal Code. I'm not here to talk about MLK, Julian Assange, past actions of the United States government, or weird conspiracy theories. So if you have information related to this, I would be super curious, but none of this is relevant. Talking about cam girls and sugar daddies has nothing to do.
But just because we have that video ready, I'm going to play it. This is Andrew Tate on the screen. I know that you can't see that, folks, because I'm playing it from the phone. So let me just turn this all the way up. Okay, here we go.
How do you manage hierarchies, let's say with two girls? Does the first girl have seniority over the second girl? No. Girls won't take that. If you have one girl who's clearly better than the other one, you're going to struggle massively. The second girl is just not going to stick around for very long. I've had it where I've had girls who say, oh, I know you're with Vivian. I know you've been with her a long time. I don't mind. I'll stay out tonight. You two stay alone. All that shit. But it never lasts long. Because the ones who are really in love with you won't do that. So the only girls who do that aren't really in love with you. You have to be such an imposing, dominating force that there's no room for hierarchy underneath you. You have to be like, when I say imposing and dominating, I'm not talking about being a psycho. I just mean your personality has to be so large that you're in charge of everything. There is no hierarchy. How can there be a hierarchy? You just have to be like, okay, I need a coffee. You make me a coffee and you cook me something. If you send one to make the coffee, then there's a hierarchy. Either way, if you send one to make the coffee, it can either be seen as you trust her more and want her more, or she's lower than the other one because she's a slave. Women will always just make up a reason. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, they'll decide it's negative. So you have to send them both. Go make me a coffee. Who? Both of you, go. You have to be like that. You have to be dominant to a point where there's no room for hierarchy. It's just you and everyone else. Now that's easy for my personality. For other people it can be slightly harder, but there's a whole bunch of stupid fiddly shit you need to learn to do if you want to truly have two girls in the long term. You got to learn to sleep on your back. You can't sleep on your side. If you sleep on your right side, I'm telling you now,
there's like 30 seconds left.
When you're sleeping,
and you talk about that Vivian girl.
Maybe not the first night, but by night 10 she will. oh, you're always facing her and you're hugging her and I'm on my own. And this is a little dumb shit you have to deal with. But basically, you have to be big, large enough personality that you handle it. There is no hierarchy. You can't clearly have women below women. They don't like that shit. What you do when you're in my situation, where you have a girlfriend of 6 years, and you try and bring a new girl in, you actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years, which is difficult. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. And we met and we felt whatever, we're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, oh yeah, I started off working for him.
How long is this?
It's ending now. Just
so super downplay us, so that the new girl feels like, well, they're just kind of work and sex, and now I'm here and he likes me, and she can believe in her mind that she can be equal. If Vivian was completely honest, well, he's been with me 6 years and we're gonna be together forever, so you're just a side bitch, then it's not gonna ever work.
Yeah, so
okay, yeah, you're gonna hear.
It also depends how much control you have over your bottom bitch, because you have to be able to have
There's the pimp terminology, but yeah.
Any more?
So can I just respond to that without interruption?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, we have to distinguish between what is the standard practices within a cam business versus what is considered trafficking. Because the kinds of things that he's describing in terms of managing women in a cam business, how do we know that that's just not the standard like best practices of managing a cam business? Just in the same way that there's a veil between any kind of major company or major business and the employees. Anyone who's worked in the corporate world knows this, that you can't be 100% transparent with your employees. Like, for example, you can't let all of your employees know how much salary each person is making. Why? Because that creates all kinds of problems for the functionality of the team. So management typically, like if you work in corporate America, the management is not going to disclose what each employee is making. And if you ask, they won't tell you, or they are allowed to mislead you about that. There's all kinds of best practices for keeping your employees happy and motivated to work. And some of that will involve deception as a part of best practices that are taught in managerial schools and MBA programs within standard business. The only thing that's different about a cam business from a purely Western materialistic perspective is that you're dealing with sex, and that will involve emotions, and that will involve a kind of relationships that makes it more tricky and more complicated and potentially more damaging. I acknowledge that, which is why I think that pornography should be banned, because I don't think it's just Andrew Tate in his particular webcam business that is employing these practices. I think these are standard practices for any kind of pornography business and webcam business. And if you want to consider that exploitative and trafficking, fine, but that means you'd have to ban all of pornography, all of webcamming. Just be consistent with your standards. Don't have this attack on Andrew Tate and say, oh, see, he's using this kind of dishonesty, or he is veiling his true intentions just for the purposes of manipulation. Don't have that kind of standard for Andrew Tate, when in reality, these are practices, best practices for all of pornography. Anything that involves that level of sex and money together is going to be complicated in that kind of way. And I keep bringing up exploitation that women use in these same industries against men to exploit men. And Destiny seems to think that that kind of exploitation, there's no problem. It can be legal. Yeah, it's fine if the women are lying in order to extract money from men, to defraud men essentially through dishonesty. There's no problem. That should be legal according to Destiny. But if a man does it, then that's a problem, and he needs to be put in prison for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep trying to say what I think should be legal or not in regards to women exploiting men. That's not what we came here to discuss. I haven't entered any statements about that. You have no idea. I don't care what you think my opinion is. If you want to talk to me on another time or in another debate, we can go over that. But that's not part of this discussion, so I'm not here to answer that question. When you say that it's standard practice, can you think of a single other pornographic studio in the world that manages their talent this way?
I imagine that it's.
I don't care what you imagine. Okay, so it's not most of them. Women on Pornhub are individually.
How do you know?
Because I'll tell you. The women that do OnlyFans aren't managed in this way. You can be an independent creator. You don't have to move anywhere. The women that work on Pornhub are all independently managed. For larger companies and studios like Brazzers and other people that manage talent, you never fly them around the world and keep them locked up anywhere. For the girls that work on My Free Cams, they're only.
Where's your proof?
My proof is
how do you know those companies don't do that? How do you know?
Because one, I know people.
You know, Pornhub. You know, Pornhub was investigated for child pornography and all kinds of illegal practices, and they were demonetized. Their payment processors closed them down. It was a huge scandal. Pornhub was involved in all kinds of criminality.
What do you think Pornhub was involved in? What do you think?
That.
What do you think Pornhub was involved with?
They were involved with child, having
how were they
videos
involved?
of child
how were they
pornography,
involved? Yeah, how were they
and
involved
not
with
taking
that?
it down.
There you
not
go.
Taking those
so
videos
Pornhub themselves did not produce
criminality.
any of that, right? Whether it's criminality or not,
they're profiting off of it.
That's
They're
up to,
profiting off
not
of it.
anymore. That's why they have very stringent application things. Also, for the audience, notice how you just pivoted again to something completely irrelevant. The reality is that there is
brought up
no,
Pornhub, bro.
there is.
You
I brought
up
up Pornhub as an example of a place
of a great
where
model of
individual,
pornography,
where an individual
ethical model
Daniel,
of pornography.
Daniel,
That was what you brought up.
Gentlemen, hold on, just to be
Yeah.
sure they can hear each of you.
I know you're really triggered about porn. If you want to do a porn debate, we could have just done a porn debate. But I'm not here to do a porn debate. I'm here to do a sex trafficking debate. You made the argument that this was standard practice. I know from personal experience it's not standard practice, and I know from every woman that has ever spoken being in these industries it's not standard practice. But you are right in a way. You just don't realize how you're correct. In a way, what he's doing is standard practice. It is incredibly standard practice for pimping. And if you watch any interviews with a pimp, if you watch the terminology that Andrew Tate uses, if you see the entire guide that he had on his Cobra PhD website that's now taken down, that I've linked to an internet archive of, if you read any of the statements there, that is a guide on how to pimp. Terminology that he uses like bottom bitch, the idea of bringing in one woman to lure another woman in to work for you, the idea of having women that think that they're part of a relationship with you and then moving them to another country to do sex trafficking, all of that is standard practice, but it's standard practice for pimping. So you don't have any examples of any studios anywhere that do their sex content like this, despite you saying it's standard practice and that you imagine it so. I don't know why you're imagining about porn. That sounds like it would be haram or something. But yeah, the idea that this is standard practice, you can't think of anybody that does it. I know that that's not true. I just named you like 3 or 4 different organizations that have women that do this that aren't managed in that way. And everything you're saying is standard practice, but it's standard practice in regards to pimping.
Yeah, I mean, I just find it funny how you mentioned like 2 main companies, and one of them, Pornhub, was involved in a major scandal of violations of ethics.
It had nothing to do with sex trafficking.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt. Also, there are many
the
people. There are many people who complain about being exploited by Pornhub. You can just Google it. I was exploited by Pornhub, and these are quote unquote independent creators. Like just Google someone like Mia Khalifa who says that I was exploited by Pornhub. So there's plenty of testimony from these former porn actresses who say that I was exploited by these companies.
Did any of them say that they were moved to another country and forced to work in a basement? Or
they said they were exploited. They said that they were coerced. They said that they didn't know, they were preyed upon by these companies. Yeah,
preyed upon or coerced how?
All of those statements. Ask them. They're saying that they were.
You're the one citing them, so I'm asking you.
They were promised all kinds of celebrity status and all kinds of riches. They were lured into the pornographic industry at a young age, at 18 years old, and they didn't know better. And they are arguing that these companies are all exploitative.
Okay. So we just have nothing on Andrew Tate. Do you think that sex trafficking is even real? Is that like a real crime ever?
Yeah, it's real. If you go grab someone off the street and you put them in a truck and you drive them to Mexico and you sell them into sex slavery where they're chained to a radiator, yeah, that's human trafficking. But by offering someone a position in a lucrative business, I think it's haram. I think it's completely immoral. I disavow cam girl business or pornography. But according to Western law, that's not considered human trafficking. That's not illegal. It's only when you start broadening the definition of what constitutes fraud and what constitutes coercion. Like, oh, you said that you would marry her, but you didn't marry her, so therefore you sex trafficked her. Like, this is the kind of evidence, quote unquote, that you have against Andrew Tate.
Well, no, my evidence is him giving a guide. We can watch another clip if you want about how he talks
about how he scams. He's giving a guide about his cam business. Like, that's standard practice for
standard practice for pimping. What you said earlier was not true.
Is pornography not pimping?
No.
Is pornography not pimping?
Because you're not lying or deceiving or coercing the women into it. If you are, then it could be a form of pimping. But
honest pimps.
Saying that there can be honest pimps, that's fine. It doesn't matter. And thankfully, even in the Romanian criminal
why are you
code,
saying,
even if somebody that you have pimped has said you're not pimping, that has no impact on whether or not you get charged with sex trafficking or not. You said earlier that it was standard practice. You said it was standard practice in business to deceive or lie to your employees or to lie about other things. That's not standard practice in business either.
There's a veil of dishonesty.
There is not a veil of dishonesty. That's not true. And depending on how you lie, you can get prosecuted for that. I don't know what you mean by veil of dishonesty. And whatever veil of dishonesty you think you can come up with, by the way, if you were to fire an employee for discussing wages with another employee, pretty sure you can get you can get in big trouble for that. if you want to talk about like a veiled dishonesty, that's fine that maybe they aren't completely forthcoming with some things, but that's far different than saying that I bring a woman intentionally to deceive the other woman in order to get her to work a sex business for me. I don't know I don't know what world you can live in where you listen to him say that.
These women are coming to first of all, Andrew Tate is inviting them to come to Romania. They don't know who Andrew Tate is. They don't know that he's a multimillionaire. They don't know how he's got his money. They don't know his involvement with other women because he's posting about it constantly on his social media. They go to Romania, they see a house with 70 women, and they don't realize, oh, I wonder what's going on here. What is this? Oh my God, I'm completely surprised. You fooled me, Andrew, about the nature of your living and how you live your life. Like, that's the kind of naivete that you think that women
No, it's
have.
not naivete at all.
They're like childlike, ignorant, naive. They can't even make these kinds of basic conclusions that any normal person would immediately be able to understand. And anyway, when they get to Romania, they can leave. He's not chaining them up. He's not locking them up. You could say that, oh, he took their passport. Okay, just go in the street. You don't know the language, so what? Just you're a beautiful young woman. Say, oh, help me, help me. You don't think people in Romania care enough to help who's asking for their help and screaming that, oh, I'm being held against my will. Please help me. Like, this is just so implausible, like this kind of
so none of this is implausible. So when you say that like they just show up and they see 70 women, that's not how it works. Who they're allowed to see, where they're allowed to go, who they're allowed to hang out with is all incredibly carefully controlled for. We know this because there were logs leaked by the prosecution that shows Andrew Tate talking to Vivian, telling her like, hey, show this girl to this place, take this girl to this area. We know this because in Tristan's God Mode podcast, he talks about how you can have 5, 6, 7, and 8 different women at the same time by scheduling different times of the day to be with them so that every single one of them feels like they're special and unique to you. He's got a whole podcast. We watched the entire thing where he gives tips on how to manage multiple women at the same time. And we know that there were explicit threats made that if women weren't making enough money for them, one was Andrew Tate saying that that somebody would be thrown out the window. Another claim was another woman tried to leave and they said, you're not allowed to leave this place ever unless you go with either Vivian or one of the 2 security that are here. So no, women were forced to be there. We've got a third party. I can't verify that, but a third party.
That force? Where was the force? All you mentioned is like deception. All you mentioned
the force is somebody saying that the force is that you're not allowed to leave the house or else we're gonna throw you out of the balcony. Or the force is that like you.
Where's that? Where's the proof of that? Where did Andrew Tate say you're not allowed to leave the house? Otherwise, we're gonna throw you off the balcony. That's like a threat of assault and possibly homicide.
Sure. So in one of the hold on, I can find the balcony quote if you want.
So while you're looking for that, you can look at thedailybeast.com, sexual coercion epidemic in porn, exploitation, coercion,
what does
and
any
fraud
of this have to do with what we're talking about?
Yeah, what does an article about porn have to do with the cam business?
We're not talking about porn, and we're not talking about the cam business.
We're not talking about porn at all.
No, we're not. We're not talking about the cam business either. We're talking about Andrew Tate and sex trafficking. So here was one of the conversations that were recorded. This has to do with the policewoman that was arrested alongside the Tate brothers, and it has to do with another woman that was doing work for them. Let's see. RL is the policewoman. You're free tonight to sleep. Do not waste time. So that you can be rested for tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday for the weekend. The other woman, not the victim, but another one of the pimp helpers is, so clearly there is no longer a problem with recovery. And then the victim says, you mean? But I didn't say I'm not going in today at all. And then the policewoman says, well, how much do you have to recover so far? Don't lie to me because you didn't do anything today. And then Andrew Tate says, did you tell the new hooker that you made a lot of money? The second part of this conversation is they talk about...
Is this from a video or
these are logs that have been released from the prosecution. I can go ahead and link you this right here if you want.
Yeah, so logs are not these kinds of logs are highly selective. We have to see the entire context of the conversations that are happening. You can't just take a quote from a WhatsApp message and say that, oh, this is evidence that he is threatening assault. And
okay, so when he says, so one of the statements by the police ladies was, punch yourself in the mouth until I arrive because then I'll give you another 10, you incurable slacker. I'm going to break you when I get there. The victim says, what did I do? She says, you have 1 hour and 10 minutes to disappear. But what did I do? Better said, what did you do yesterday for an hour? You're 20% down, 4 days since you posted. And then another lady says, I'm waiting for the money from yesterday. And then the police lady says, if Andrew looks to see if you've posted TikToks, you won't have time to pack. You're flying off the balcony straight away.
So the policewoman said that?
Yes.
So Andrew Tate did not say that.
They're all part of the same criminal enterprise.
Yes, the policewoman that works... part of the criminal enterprise? You're quoting the policewoman. The policewoman said you better pack up, otherwise he's gonna throw you off the balcony.
Oh, you don't know anything about this case at all. Policewoman is one of the people arrested. You don't even know who was arrested with Andrew Tate. You have no idea what you're talking about. Holy shit! I just realized that. Fuck.
I can't even tell if you're talking about the police, a police report, or what.
Never mind.
You're just reading a line. I don't know what it's from.
You asked me to read the logs, but I just realized you don't even know who was arrested with the person.
I asked you to show me the proof.
I did show you the proof. I literally linked you the things
you said
right
that
here.
Policewoman said it, not Andrew Tate.
No, they're all part of the same criminal enterprise, though. That's part of what they're being charged for. Was the
I thought
criminal
our debate
organization?
Was about Andrew Tate, right? That's what you keep referring to. We're talking about
the
Andrew
debate
Tate.
is about Andrew Tate and sex
Andrew,
trafficking.
okay.
Sex trafficking. Sex trafficking typically requires an organization to do it. This is Andrew Tate's organization. There are other logs that show the hierarchy of said organization and how these women report to Andrew Tate. We can go over those logs as well, but I don't think you're familiar with any of these things.
No, all you're doing is citing. I don't know where these documents are coming from.
They're
where
logs leaked, chat logs leaked from the prosecution.
Yeah, the prosecution. Wow, I wonder, if they're giving the entirety of these messages, entirety of these statements that are being made. How can you take what the prosecution selectively decides to leak as evidence, close-cut case that Andrew Tate is threatening his girl to throw girls off of balconies if they don't?
Because I'm combining it with everything else I've heard so far. I'm combining it with Andrew and Tristan's own testimony.
I'm combining it with everything I've heard thus far, and it's not evidence. It's not compelling to me that this is proof that he is engaged in any
I agree. It's not
coercion.
100% compelling. That's why we wait for the trial. But based on everything that's been released so far, seems pretty
we
bad.
agree.
We absolutely don't agree. You don't even know the facts of the case. We can't possibly agree.
You don't even know how the U.S. is involved in this case.
You haven't been able to tell me either. All you're saying is that the United States funds organizations that fight sex trafficking abroad? Yeah, no shit, Sherlock Holmes. That's the most obvious thing in the world.
United States funds the Organized Crime and Terrorism Investigation Directorate in Romania.
Okay, so then let me return to this was the very first question.
You don't even know this. You're not even aware of this.
I literally.
You think it's irrelevant.
If you want,
you said earlier that this is completely irrelevant. That the U.S. is involved. That there's no political considerations to be taken into account here. That's like your worldview. Like that is so naive. Like don't tell me about not knowing the facts of the case. So you don't even know who's prosecuting.
By the way, here you go. There's the Twitter thread. I know exactly where you're pulling this conspiracy from. I've read the entire thread.
It's not conspiracy.
There is no evidence.
State.gov/report.
I know how excited you are. Yes.
What kind of conspiracy theory is this when I'm citing the
conspiracy that you're alleging
US
is
government?
The conspiracy
theory?
I'm telling you.
One sec, gentlemen.
You
just be sure we can hear
you think it's a conspiracy that the U.S. is involved with DCOT?
No, but that's not what you're alleging. The conspiracy that you're alleging is that the United States is pressuring DICOT to trump up charges for Andrew Tate that have no factual basis. And so what I'm asking you is there a single piece of evidence that points to any political pressure that's causing them to fabricate evidence? That was the very first question I asked, and you talked about 50 million things. I can go back to the very first question again, and we'll do this again. We can play this till the end of the debate. Is there a single piece of direct evidence that the United States is pressuring anybody? Yeah.
Look, just like you can point to these selected WhatsApp messages and
these
say,
are hours-long podcasts by Andrew and Tristan Tate. Yeah.
Hold on, let me finish. That's highly suggestive. I'm also saying, look at the U.S. Involvement with this Romanian prosecution. Well, that's highly suggestive. Look at the U.S. Previous history in trying to push false rape accusations against people like Martin Luther King, against people like Julian Assange. Well, that's kind of suggestive. I'm only using your same logic, Destiny, your same kind of curiosity where you say, oh, wow, Andrew Tate said this and that. That's highly suggestive that he's a sex trafficker. I'm using only the same logic. If you want to call that a conspiracy theory, then you're engaged in just as much conspiracy theory as I am.
Yeah, so just to be clear, I'm using direct logs and testimony from Andrew Tate. I'm using cutouts from hours-long podcasts that we've all listened to. You're welcome to go and do it if you want.
And none of that is
all of this is him speaking. We literally just listened to him lay out almost everything necessary on its own to prove that he was a sex trafficker. He's literally describing a pimp relationship with a girl that works for him and how he would use deception in order to get other women to think they were closer to him than they actually were. We literally just listened to a full cutout that was not edited, that wasn't from Vice. That was something that Andrew Tate himself recorded and spoke about. So if you're upset about that, that's fine. But if you're going to make claims about conspiracies about the U.S., like pressuring people to do anything, that's fine too. But you need to show me evidence for it. If you don't have any evidence other than the United States works with Eastern European countries to try to reduce the amount of sex trafficking, when these countries are well known as having massive problems with sex trafficking, you're going to have to do a little bit better.
Look, if you are telling us that we just need to trust what Tate says in these logs, and we just have to take Tate's word for it of what he's describing of his relationships, of his business practices, fine. Let's take Tate at his word. Guess what? In many places, Tate also says that he is playing a character, that he is just putting on a persona for the sake of selling his business and selling this kind of lifestyle, that he is role playing. He says this in multiple interviews, including most recently on Piers Morgan. He describes his entire activity online as a performance. So if we want to take Tate as his word and convict or impeach him on his word, then these are also things that Andrew Tate has said publicly. So this is the weakness of your case, Destiny. Like, you're just taking what Tate has said in all of these videos. Yeah, I've seen them all as well. Everyone's seen them. But the point is that, fine, that is not enough to prove, as you've acknowledged yourself, that's not enough to prove that he engaged in sex trafficking. And in any court of law, there's a presumption of innocence. There has to be he has to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But there's plenty of doubt that's created by all of these contextual factors that I'm bringing up. And all you have is, oh, listen to this video. Oh, look at this selected snippet from a WhatsApp log. That's the only thing that you have. Fine, I'll concede everything that you have pointed to Tate's videos, his WhatsApp messages. Fine, let's pretend like those are all in context. They're incontrovertible. There's no kind of manipulation of that data. Let's take it at its face value. It still does not prove that Andrew Tate is a sex trafficker, because he says publicly that he's playing a role.
He's you have. Yeah, I can just restate everything. You can say it's all parody or whatever, but I mean, he did grow that huge webcam business. He does give full. Before he was ever an internet content creator, he gave full videos explaining how his entire business works. He spoke multiple times about moving to Romania in order to avoid certain types of laws that he seems to be trying to exploit now to run his business. Every single piece of evidence seems to point in one direction for Andrew Tate. And if you want to turn a blind eye because you're happy to have a new convert, I mean, that's fine. But nothing you've really said today has given me any factual basis to believe anything that I've said is incorrect, and it seems like you have nothing insofar as that other than alluding to vague conspiracy theories or black guys have been dead for over 100 years or whatever, or 80 years. So yeah,
that's Martin Luther King is some black guy that died 100 years ago.
So I guess 6 years ago. But yeah, I don't think MLK is connected to the Andrew Tate sex trafficking case today as much as you might want him to be. But yeah,
or Julian Assange, that's irrelevant.
If there's any other evidence, although I don't think he has.
Do you think Assange is?
I didn't come here to discuss Julian Assange today.
That's fine. So
this might be an opportunity to go into the Q&A, unless you have any final thoughts to draw together the threads from the debate, each of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I made my case. Like all the evidence that Destiny claims to have are just statements from Tate that are highly
direct evidence.
That's direct evidence when he says he's playing a role, that he's doing a parody. That
he's not playing a role in those videos. That's not him playing a role. That's him talking explicitly about how his business works, and other people have come out and said as much. The leaked logs from the prosecution seem to say as much. Statements from the victims seem to say as much. Other things that have been released from other people that aren't even involved in this seem to say as much. There's a 16-year-old girl who was the daughter of a Romanian politician that said that Andrew and Tristan Tate are shooting out spam messages to girls on Instagram, trying to get them to come and work for them. Like, the idea that like none of this stuff is like, oh well, maybe he's all just playing a character, when his entire life has consistently led to this moment, and now he's gotten arrested and is being prosecuted potentially by the Romanian government for sex trafficking. It's just hilarious that you would buy all of that, like, oh, he's playing a character. Isn't that exactly something that a criminal that's an online social media influencer would say? Why would you not be critical of that statement at all?
Before the charges, he said that before these charges.
Did he say it before
the
investigation?
He says that.
He said that after he got banned from social media. Don't you think he might have just said that so that he could get unbanned from social media?
No, in older clips, he says the same thing. In older clips, he says that he's playing a character. Like, this was the whole issue with the UK case where he was accused of beating a woman, and that video came out that, oh, he's hitting a woman, and he explains that he's just role playing. So this is prior to the sex trafficking. That's prior to the sex trafficking, and the police dropped the charges based on text messages between the women who were accusing Tate, showing that they were colluding to actually attack him.
Yeah, so the case was dropped. Hold on, so that is not true. So the text messages or the accusation that they were trying to collude to make up a charge is something that Andrew and Tristan Tate say, but that has never been substantiated. The statement
What has
given
been
by
substantiated is that the case was dropped.
Sure, the
And
case
there
was
were
dropped.
There were no charges. He was not arrested for
Yeah,
that.
that is
The case
true. That the case was indeed
yeah.
dropped, but it doesn't mean that there was collusion among those girls to fabricate charges against him. Plenty of
Yeah,
cases like this
I
get dropped.
acknowledge that it was a
Okay.
claim.
Sure.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, like
the thing is that-
every single statement that the Tates have made seem to point consistently in this direction. I mean,
you're
I just
ignoring
kinda
a lot of
follow.
their statements.
No, I'm
a lot of their
ignoring the statements
That put
where they're saying
context-
like, "Oh, don't take us seriously for everything," which is the childlike naivety that you have, or the desire to, I guess, like ride these guys is hilarious because like the idea, like, well, he said that he didn't mean it when they've got hours of content, hundreds of hours of content, thousands of dollars in
it should be a
courses, when they've
case
got all
closed,
these
right?
things that are set up in terms of like how to
Case
run your own
closed.
pimping or trafficking business and everything they seem to
So,
say. It's like seems
You
to line
read
up with
the
that.
report, right?
Yeah.
You read the report, right, Destiny, from the prosecution. Did you also read the judge's report where he said that there's not enough evidence to actually charge and prosecute Tate or indict and prosecute Tate? Did you read the judge's statement about that? And that's why his detention was extended for another 30 days as the prosecution looks for more evidence. So if it's such a clear-cut case and all of his statements are basically incriminating him online, there's hours of evidence, then why is the prosecution not going to trial? Why do they keep
Hold
extending
on. You
it?
said there's a statement from the judge saying there's not enough evidence for a case right now. Can you link me that?
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
Also, how do you
Well,
know
they-
he's not just role-playing being Muslim? How do you know he's serious
Well,
about that?
I mean, you really can't tell what is in a person's heart. So you have to take people at the face value, what they say publicly. So he said publicly that he's playing a role. And I take that as at face value, just like you take his other statements at face value.
Okay, but how do you know that he's really a Muslim then?
Really a Muslim, you can't know anyone is really a Muslim. You can't know if I'm really a Muslim. How can you know what's in my heart? And
Well, you seem to defend him a little bit on the basis, at least, that you were happy that you want to defend a Muslim brother. You said that at the beginning of this conversation.
But even if he were not a Muslim, I would defend him.
Sure,
And,
but you said in
I
the
have
beginning you
also
said Muslim brother, so it's
criticized-
interesting you would believe a man would convert, and you seem to believe that on its face, which is a pretty
that's-
astounding conversion. But you're hypercritical of all the statements he's made regarding running his pimping business.
I don't know. You take people at their face in Islam. You judge by what is apparent. So things that we cannot know because we can't see what is in a person's mind or heart. That's irrelevant. You judge by what is apparent. So if you, for example, Destiny says, I'm a Muslim or I'm a Christian or I'm an atheist, I'm going to take you at your word, at the face. You can only judge people by what they show. You can't have these kind of bad assumptions about
So then why do you take him at his face when he says he's just playing a role?
That's consistent. How is that inconsistent? I'm taking him at his face in both cases.
Then why don't you take him at his face when he accurately describes and lays out how to run a pimping business?
I explained. I do take that at its face.
So
That
then
was
you
my
do
whole
think-
argument. Even if you take it at its face, it's not enough to prove that he was engaged in trafficking. That's the whole argument, Destiny. Look, you're a really smart, Destiny. I really admire your ability to argue in a debate, but you really are not conversant with the points that I'm making. I acknowledge that take him completely at his face, all of the messages, all of the videos, take him at its face. It's still not enough to prove that he was engaged in trafficking, because the standards of trafficking and rape are very subjective.
Okay.
Coercion, fraud, exploitation, these are all contested terms.
They're
That was
not.
the
They're
whole
all part. They're all
argument.
part of the
They
Romanian
are.
criminal
I
code.
cited
Really?
Yale
I don't
Law
agree.
Review
Why? What is
articles.
Yale law? First of all,
Harvard
you
Law
didn't
Review
cite
articles.
anything. Also, secondly, these things.
Yes,
We're
I
talking about
did.
Romanian criminal law. We're not talking about the U.S. criminal code.
I've talked about the U.S. trafficking laws that dictate what Romanian prosecutors do through DICOT, through
You
the
haven't
prosecution
shown
within
anything,
Romania.
though, that they're
I
being
did.
influenced by the United States to put political charges here.
So again, I have your standards, Destiny. It's suggestive. It's suggestive that the U.S. is involved.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want to admit
the
that, all you
Romanian
have is a
prosecution.
suggestion, and that's literally
Yeah,
it. Then, okay.
everything that you've said is just a suggestion.
No, I've got direct testimony from
I'm
Andrew
fine
Tate.
with that.
I have direct stuff, and you're saying we'll just ignore that he's just
No.
faking it. You just have suggestions.
The
Right.
direct statement, okay, that you said, "Oh, I'm going to throw you off a balcony," turned out not to be from Andrew Tate at all. So you don't
It
have
was
any
from
direct,
his
direct
organization.
statement.
I've got plenty of direct statements from Andrew Tate on how to run his pimping business. We just listened
Okay,
to
well,
2 or 3
maybe the
minutes of him talking
employee,
about it.
maybe his employee, part of the organization, spoke out of line and wasn't actually representing the business practices of Andrew Tate.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds
where's the
totally
direct
connection.
connection, Destiny?
The direct.
Where's
We
the
can
direct?
we can go and
You
read
be
more.
like totally autistic about like, oh, there has to be explicit proof and explicit connection. Okay, we can play that game too, Destiny. Like, where's the explicit proof? Where did Destiny? I need a recorded video of him saying that I am not role playing right now, and I'm gonna throw you off the balcony if you step foot out of this house. That's the standard I need. I'm just applying your standard, Destiny, because you. When you say that there's no U.S. involvement in his case, and I prove to you that Dicot in the Romanian government is directly connected to the U.S. government. You can go to the State Department website that describes the relationship in detail. It's not a conspiracy theory. You say, oh, that's just
sure.
not
So
relevant.
in a transcript that was leaked, one of the messages that was exchanged was Andrew Tate saying that Tristan and Georgiana are over there, but I lead them. In terms of, another girl asked him, I heard you're the one running the OnlyFans and TikTok girls business. I can link you this article if you want where those logs come from. But yes, clearly there was a hierarchy here. And clearly he is in charge of running and managing these people. These leaked logs are consistent with everything else he's also said too. I mean, I don't know how many logs you want, but I don't think I show you anything that would honestly convince you.
Yeah, there's nothing that.
Yeah, I know.
There's nothing that
could change your mind.
that you're trying to establish. There's nothing that says that these women couldn't have gone out at any time. Many of them did go out. Which shows that they could actually leave the house, and if they were so coerced, like all you can say is that he intimidated them so much that they couldn't run away. That's basically the case that you're making. It's highly speculative.
Yeah, well, one of them wanted to leave, and they
evidence.
said explicitly that you're not allowed to be anywhere on your own. You can only leave the house with other people protecting you.
All right, well, if that's evidence, then why can't you accept that the U.S. threatens economic sanctions on the basis of human trafficking? Romania has been threatened to be sanctioned by the U.S. on the basis of human trafficking. How can you not see that that's relevant to this case?
When did the United States threaten to sanction Romania?
By putting them on the tier 2 watch list on the TIPS report, human trafficking report. That's why I cited. So you don't know these facts about this case. That's the problem.
No. Hold on.
All
One,
you know is
this
like
has
some
nothing
videos
to do with
on,
the case.
on
And two,
YouTube.
I asked you for a year.
That's your research.
You're telling me the United States threatened to sanction.
Yeah, any country that is on the tier 2 watch list is under threat of sanction.
So they didn't sanction them. They're under threat of sanction.
Under threat, yes.
So they didn't.
Yes.
They didn't threaten to sanction them. They didn't sanction them.
Yes, under threat of sanction. That is what it means.
Okay, so there was no sanction. None of that. All of that is not true. Okay.
Yeah, under threat of sanction is the same as under threat of I'm going to throw you off the balcony. Let's just use your standards, Destiny.
Okay.
To go into the Q&A. So
go for it.
want to say, folks, thanks so much for your questions. Couple of quick housekeeping things as I switch it over into the Q&A. First, our guests are linked in the description box. That includes if you're listening via the podcast, as we put all of our debates on the podcast. And you can find both Destiny's and Daniel's link in the description box there at the podcast as well. This one first coming in from Yeshua.
By the way, sorry, James. Because you asked me for that Romanian judge's statement. So there's a document. I have the PDF, and I don't know how to send it to you through Zoom, but I can just read you the title of it so people can look it up and download it, where you can find the statement. It's like a long document, just so that we tie up that loose end. Romanian criminal court, judge reasoning for 30 days. So this is downloaded off of DICOT, I believe. But it gives the judge's reasoning for 30 days extension. So the reasoning that was given by the judge for extending the 30 days of detention, if you look through that document, he makes that statement that I quoted earlier. He says it in Romanian, but you can translate it.
You got it. This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Yeshua the King says, the Tates were hypocritical, quote unquote, Christians, and Tate, or Andrew, is a hypocritical Muslim now. So I'm not sure why any religious person is defending him.
So I agree that, and I've made this statement prior to his arrest, when he announced becoming Muslim, that let's see, Andrew Tate has become Muslim. Is he gonna put his money where his mouth is and follow through by living an actual Muslim lifestyle? If not, then I will condemn him and I will denounce him for example, having most of his money nowadays coming through casinos. I will denounce him. And I also said that Andrew Tate is not a role model. Andrew Tate is not a role model for Muslims or anyone until he cleans up his act. So there's a grace period for him to be allowed to do that. And you know, if after a year he's still the same Andrew Tate, then I'm going to condemn him for being, you know, kind of a sleazy figure. That's not a Muslim lifestyle. So it's conditional. My support, any Muslim support of Andrew Tate, is conditional that he cleans up his act.
You got it. This one coming in from Yeshua the King as well. I don't know if they're agreeing with you, Daniel, but critiquing the Quran, or if they say, according to Quran 24:33, prostitution is okay. The only thing Tate did wrong was break secular laws, and the women weren't bought slaves or war booty.
I mean, that's completely ridiculous. Prostitution is not allowed at all within Islam. To be a prostitute or to procure the services of prostitution, it's not allowed. I don't know what you're talking about.
This one from Thunderstorm says, at the end of the day, people identify with ethnicity, not an ideology. They change like a Halloween costume. Tate sex abuse of Slavic women and girls hopefully will get Slavic justice.
Is that from
this
you?
one from Bang Boom Ba says, why does Destiny just keep throwing labels at Daniel, also avoiding wider context and calling it irrelevant since he didn't do his homework properly? A scathing critique for you, Destiny.
Jeez.
This one from Jan and his Fiats. Reminder, Destiny, let's see, needs to debate Ryan Dawson again. Okay, well, thanks for that. Turbo says, Destiny pioneered the sandwich eating debate tactic, and now he's taking advice from Tate and using, let's see, okay, this is just weird. This one from Huge Head says, we're looking for serious questions here, folks. Says, is Daniel aware Andrew Tate is still has girlfriends at home who still publish porno content and make money for him, and still has casinos and still tells others to do the same in his paid program?
Well, any involvement that Andrew Tate or his associates have with pornography, I denounce, I condemn it in the strongest terms. And if things are run according to Islamic law, they would all be punished for that. So I have no hesitancy in saying that very clearly. It doesn't matter if it's Andrew Tate or anyone else who's involved with it. Like, according to Islamic law, that is something completely immoral. It's something illegal, and it actually, within an Islamic society, would have criminal punishment.
This one coming in from, I don't understand your name because it's put it in a foreign language. Let me know what it is. It says, why is Destiny avoiding to discuss Daniel's 3 simple points, which are all logical and backed by public evidence? Shocking. He isn't acknowledging Twitter files and the Assange case.
True.
The Twitter files is a significant, that wasn't a sarcastic comment. I didn't read it as sarcastic. Twitter files is a major news event.
No, they're not. None of the Twitter files released have shown anything that we didn't already know.
Yeah, but it's significant that now what we know has been verified by
what do we wait? What do we
files.
know? What was verified by the Twitter files, you think?
What was verified is that the FBI and the CIA were directly involved with Twitter, meeting with Twitter management to control the content policies of Twitter and actually target specific accounts for banning or shadow banning or throttling. That's what was proven.
And what happened? What happened when the FBI tried to do that?
Twitter cooperated.
No, they didn't. You didn't read the Twitter files. Remember that huge list of, like, what was it, 200,000 users that were all marked as suspect? Twitter took absolutely no action on any of those whatsoever. And on some of the emails that we saw that was leaked to the FBI, they did take action on some accounts, the accounts that they thought were violating the TOS. But if you actually read the emails where the FBI is making requests, Twitter has internal discussion on whether or not to acquiesce to them or not, and they refuse to the vast majority of the time. That's why when the FBI sent that list of 200,001, in the FBI email they say themselves that no action was required. It was just updating them on information they thought was suspicious. And 2, Twitter didn't take action on any of those accounts, and they didn't suffer anything for it. If you have evidence of Twitter taking action on mass accounts to the behest of the FBI, that'd be great. But one of the things we learned from the Twitter file leaks was that 1, that FBI was not involved whatsoever. Nobody made a request relating to the Hunter Biden story that originally got censored. And 2, that the FBI would make multiple requests for Twitter to censor content, and Twitter would not censor. Most of the emails fighting back are them saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to censor these, we don't think these violate our TOS, and then the internal discussion thereof. But if you've only read the headlines, you probably wouldn't know that.
I mean, the thing that's so funny about your argument is that you're saying, oh, no, the FBI and the CIA didn't ban specific accounts. Those accounts just violated the TOS. But the thing about Twitter's TOS is that there are meetings that the FBI and the CIA had about the TOS, and Twitter adjusted their TOS on the basis of CIA and FBI recommendations.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with the FBI and the CIA controlling what can be said online?
Controlling what can be said online is a far jump from they might update their TOS with recommendations from our intelligence agencies. If the FBI or the CIA says like, hey, just so you know, there might be some Islamic terrorists that use accounts in these ways, maybe you'd want to account for that, and Twitter updates their TOS accordingly, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Now, if you want to show me a specific change that Twitter had made to either their community guidelines or their TOS, you want to say that change was made by the FBI and that was a bad change, I'd be curious to hear any. Do you have any of those examples?
No, I just find it amazing.
That's what I thought. Okay, so then move on to the next topic.
Yeah,
I have no
I have
idea
many
what you're talking
examples. No, you don't.
Oh,
have
go
any
ahead.
idea.
Give me an
You
example.
just
That I'm
admit it.
curious.
You have no problem with the FBI and the CIA controlling Twitter's terms of service.
So
and
here's the
deciding-
broad claim, no evidence,
controlling
and
by
then the
highly
rant. Here
suggesting.
comes the rant for the conspiracy
Yeah.
that you have no evidence of. Go for it.
Like, it's
tell me
so
about
bizarre.
how the FBI controls freedom of speech on Twitter, and tell me how Twitter
for
does all these
example,
things. Yeah. Oh,
questioning
example.
election results. Questioning election results. The FBI said that this should be considered a threat to our democracy. It should be considered extremism and calling to terrorism, and it should be a violation of your TOS. Twitter changed their TOS according to the FBI's recommendations. Do you agree with that? Do you think that no one should be allowed to question any election result in any election?
No, you can question the election results if you want. It just
You
shows
can
up
on Twitter.
You can.
You
It
on
just
Twitter.
shows up. There's a
Based
little
on
thing.
the FBI recommendations.
There's,
So you don't
there's
know
a
what you're
there's
talking
a
about,
you
Destiny.
do you see how you're do you see how you're talking over me because you know you're wrong. If you put
Just like
things
you
relating
talk
to
over
the,
me. I'm just reciprocating
Keep
your
going.
tactics,
Uh-huh.
your own debate tactics.
ahead.
I'm just reflecting them back on.
Do you want to talk about like
But you can't take.
you want to
you
talk about
can't take
Schwab
your
or
own
the
medicine.
WEF
can't
or the
take-
Federal
You
Reserve
can't
or
take
any
your
of
own
the-
medicine.
Uh-huh.
You can't take your own medicine.
We
Destiny.
must
That's
we
the
must
problem.
move on to the next one. This from your old foe, Apostate Prophet says Tate says on his website that he seduces women who have never done sex trafficking before to turn them into online sex workers. Daniel says maybe he brings them in to marry them. Of course, I believe Daniel. LOL.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this. Like, what is exploitation? Is being dishonest in a sexual relationship count as exploitation and rape? If that's the case, then there's all sorts of rape cases that will be filed. But the U.S. legal system and no Western legal system actually takes dishonesty to be to become fraud or to reach the level of fraud and be actionable in a court of law. So being dishonest is not necessarily illegal. It's immoral. We can agree on that. Andrew Tate's actions were immoral, but I think the entire pornography industry uses these types of tactics, and that's why many people involved in that industry, including these poor little women, previous porn actresses, say that they were exploited and they were coerced, and they have filed claims against all of these webcam businesses and pornographic companies, like the major ones.
No, they
you
haven't.
can Google it.
That's not true.
You gave one example of Pornhub. You gave another example of some other company, and those
Brazzers,
cases
Reality Kings. There's like massive studios everywhere that all run their shit that don't like fly women all over the world to lock them in basements. Like it just doesn't happen. People might complain. People might
they've been accused of exploitation.
Yeah, people might be suing over like wages and stuff
Just
or whatever.
Google it.
But if you want to
what's the
just
name
say
of the
that
company?
exploitation is the same thing as sex trafficking, it's like insanely hilarious to me. But I mean, you can pretend that if you want. I guess.
Critical to the definition of sex trafficking is exploitation and proving exploitation, proving fraud and proving coercion,
and proving that I'm going to get a VAC
That's why
ban,
it's
and
irrelevant.
proving that
That's
I'm going
why
to get a
it's
VAC
central.
ban
That's
on
why it's
Steam.
important.
You have to prove that I
why
exploited a
it's central.
system in order to use a hack. But a VAC ban on Steam on a video game is not the same thing as sex trafficking. Though how you're trying to tie this in is because, well, when we talk about exploitation here, it's the same as every single crime involving exploitation is just beyond stupid to me. I don't know why you think every form of crime that has exploitation in it is the same or is even worth talking about in the same breath.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Famo says, Destiny, Twitch girls constantly lure and manipulate lonely, desperate simps into donating, quote unquote, to their stream, wondering if you'd be consistent and call this out for exploitation as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of camming behavior can be exploitative, but I didn't come here to discuss that today. So,
Samir Farsain says, Destiny, you can't moderate and debate at the same time. I don't know what that means. Also, show me your denouncing of what used to happen at the Playboy Mansion. I didn't think so.
Were those girls kept there under lock and key, flown to other countries, and then forced to produce content that they weren't compensated for?
Yeah, Playboy has offices all over the world, and those girls fly all over the world. Yeah, and they could be intimidated.
Where they live there?
Intimidated by Hugh Hefner. There are plenty of previous employees of Playboy who have argued that they were raped and that they were exploited and they were trafficked. You're just ignorant of all of these cases, Destiny. That's the problem.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. they're not even remotely the same. But I mean, I guess to you, anybody that's having like premarital sex is like all the same shit to you or something. I guess I don't know. This is like some
Playboy,
some like fucking Islamic
Eastern
brain rot or
European-
some shit. I guess.
Are you not familiar with Eastern European girls being exploited by
yeah,
these
of course I am.
pornographic
That's
companies?
why Eastern European women
Yeah.
are exploited quite often. That's why Andrew Tate set himself up
Playboy.
in Romania so they could
By
exploit
Playboy.
Eastern European women. That's why Tristan and Andrew Tate send text messages on Instagram to 15 and 16-year-old Romanian girls so that they can also exploit them.
By
That's
all
what
of
they
these-
do.
Yeah,
I am aware of that.
and
Thank
all
you.
Of, all of the U.S. pornographic industry is exploitative by those standards because they're
It's
women
all
coming
the
from
same.
Eastern European. Women from Eastern Europe are coming to the U.S. on all kinds of promises of wealth and fame.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
they
sure.
are burned by
So,
that industry
bald
and they
fertig.
complain
Boys,
about
ne?
it online. But you don't care about any of those
Ganze
cases, Justin.
Viewer
You
hier mal
only care
unterhalten.
about
Ja.
Andrew Tate.
I came
This
here
one come-
today to debate about Andrew Tate. I didn't come here to talk about every single
you
form
come
of
here to
sexual
talk about
exploitation
sex
in the world.
trafficking?
No, I didn't come here to talk about sex trafficking. I came here to talk about Andrew Tate's accusations of sex trafficking. If you want to have a broad conversation about sex trafficking, we can. That's
How can you talk about Andrew Tate sex trafficking without talking about the institution of sex trafficking, the legal definition of sex trafficking, the components of the definition of sex trafficking? How can you have a conversation? Because every time I bring up these details of all of these parts of Andrew Tate sex trafficking, you say that's not relevant.
Don't be confused. You're not bringing up any of the details. I'm the one that's constantly going back to the criminal code in Romania. You're the one that's saying, well, there is no definition for this. There are. We can go and read through every article you want. There's definition for
I
all of
said
these
there is
things.
a definition.
And
I
no,
said
there's a huge
subjective.
difference between talking about sex trafficking insofar as the actual
subjective
crime is concerned and you wanting to bring up other sex traffickers. If somebody wanted to debate me on whether or not O.J. Simpson murdered his wife and you want to talk about the specific charges of murder and what happened with O.J. Simpson, that's fine. But if you want to start talking about another murder, no, that doesn't make sense. I'm not here to talk about all murders. You could talk about the specific crime of sex trafficking, but you don't even seem to think that that crime exists insofar as it's defined by the Romanian criminal code. So I don't know what we're even talking about.
No, I acknowledge the Romanian criminal code.
No,
I
you
said
didn't.
that
You
there is a
explicitly
definition.
said you
I
explicitly
cited
said that the
judge's
lack
statement.
of you
I
explicitly
cited
said that the
judge's
lack of
statement.
due
Hey,
process
I let you talk,
exists.
Bro. I let you talk.
Okay, sorry, you're
I
just
let you
lying.
talk.
My bad. Go ahead.
I cited the judge's opinion on the entire case. I didn't say that there's no definition of sex trafficking. I said that there is a definition of sex trafficking, but the critical parts of that definition are subjective and ever evolving standards. For example, affirmative consent. Do you believe in affirmative consent?
Nobody is talking about affirmative consent here. It's not part of this.
That's part of the trafficking. Why? Because
No.
trafficking
No, it's
uses
not.
the concept of coercion.
No.
Coercion. So if you do something against your consent, that is coercion. That's part of the definition of sex trafficking.
Is why don't you? Okay, it's let's. I'm sorry. It's like the internet's just a strange place. It's a
These criminals or these
I
Oh,
will
really?
be conspiratorial. Yeah, I think that Crowder.
I think the craziest thing to me listening to Rakita was the fact that he was saying that these terms were unreasonable when the term
Okay, hold on. Just as a heads up, every single thing you see coming out right now, there is only one correct take. Okay. He phone calls and he starts talking about.
oh, sorry,
I
it
don't
was
care
Jeremy
about. Yeah, I don't care about me, but I'm saying for other.
of the actual call that was leaked. There was like
Yeah.
a
But that's
couple
because
like very short
the
clips.
thing is,
yeah.
if he's leaking anything, he's probably leaking the things that are the most damning. And even of the stuff he leaked, nothing was actually bad. All of it was super standard practice. There's nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So I doubt he's got anything incriminating on that phone call. And he was setting that phone call up just to set them up,
True.
right? Because when he phone calls and he starts talking about,
oh, sorry,
I
it
don't
was
care
Jeremy.
about, yeah, I don't care about me, but I'm saying that's what they
That's-
call like the SJWs and like the.
No, that's not true. People that have been following the red pill stuff for a while, disown them. Because you're not supposed to, like, it's like a very slippery slope. Most of them are actually more liberal.
There's almost nothing you can say to convince me of that, but okay.
I
The answer has to be yes. What do you mean? Like our genes and our ancestors.
well, some people don't think so. There are people that like think
Well,
that
I
it's
don't know what
only
you're
in your
asking me. Are you
immediate
asking me like are
family.
black people and white people different because of our ancestors, or are you asking me like do genes influence our
No.
thoughts, or like yeah? What were you asking
no,
me?
I'm not. What are you talking? Why'd you just make this about race?
Well, I don't know because
No,
it seems like you're asking me a pretty
Okay, no,
common
let me
sense
give
question.
you
Like yeah, our ancestors
Fine,
of course
fine.
influence us like genetically. Yeah, for sure, of course, right? That the answer can only be yes to that, right?
No, that's not true.
Oh, okay. Well, if
If
somebody
you
said
don't
no to
think
that, I would
so-
assume.
Oh yeah. Hi guys. My name's Tori. I've stalked like a lot of your videos, so I'm pretty familiar with your audience. They're really cool. Please don't come for my ass. Please. I can't handle it right now, okay? I'm an agreeable bitch.
Okay, sounds a little traumatized,
I-
but all right.
Does it really?
Yeah,
I'll
a
tell
little
my
bit.
dad.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. What do you call it? I make red pill content. Cringe. Don't leave yet.
You're good. Don't worry.
And yeah, no, I'm talking to your audience, trying to build a connection.
Okay.
Duh.
Keep building. Go ahead.
But yeah, I was telling Destiny when I reached out to him that I'm willing to change my opinion. So just saying, we're not that hardcore over here. But I wanted to ask him about why he thinks red pill tells men, one, not to cry or have any emotion, but more specifically, I didn't add this, but I'll add it now. Just what you hate about the red pill, why you think it's so problematic.
Go ahead.
No, that's really it.
Okay, so let me start off by saying that red pill and manosphere. Also, if my eye looks weird, it's because I've got a sty that is blocking my eye. I didn't get beat up, and I don't have any weird shit going on. Just as a heads up, okay?
It doesn't look weird.
Okay, well, no, I shouldn't have said anything, so fuck me. Okay, red pill, manosphere are all like very, very broad things. So be aware that if I say one thing, it's probably something I've heard from like that Rollo Tomasi guy, the Donovan dude, the Fresh and Fit guys. That's like the world that I'm kind of in as part of like the red pill.
Okay.
Yeah, so there might be other people that say different things, but this is what I've heard. Okay. So in regard specifically to that thing you spoke about for teach men to be emotionless or whatever, one thing that I've heard repeated over and over and over again from all of the guys that have gone on Fresh and Fit, from Fresh and Fit themselves, and anybody that's like adjacent in this space is this idea.
I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's the idea that like if you show any emotion to a woman, there's a chance she's going to leave you. And I just think that's the most profoundly retarded statement I've ever heard in my entire life.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Keep going. I'm just taking notes because I had an accident, so I don't want to forget and put words in your mouth. So keep going. I'm sure you
what,
have
like a
more.
concussion? What do you mean an accident?
I had a double concussion actually, but it was a seizure. So I used to be on debate. I already told you this isn't a debate. I'm just trying to get information.
Okay,
but,
well, I was making a joke and now you made me feel bad. So, okay, you had a double concussion.
Don't feel bad. It's funny.
Okay.
I think it's funny.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm just going to make sure that I take notes or else everybody will come for me in the comments. So
Gotcha.
that's if
Okay.
you hear me typing. Keep going.
No problem.
What else do you hear?
Let's see. That's a really big one. I hear people on the red pill side make the same mistake that I think people on the like blue pill side made, where it felt like the blue pill people were really they were really anxious to label every masculine trait as like toxic, that's toxic, whatever, and it was really cringe. But then it feels like for the red pill guys, like the blue pill people do make some good suggestions. Like men do need to be more emotionally intelligent and available to their partners. Like that's just a fact, okay, 100% true. But like red pill people will take that as like women don't want any type of emotion from men, and men don't need to fulfill those roles in a relationship. They're only there for resources. And I think that framing is also like really shitty and stupid and toxic. Yeah.
Okay, can I clarify something? When you say blue pill people, I don't like red pill as like an adjective. Will you just blue pill? I'm assuming everybody else.
I think blue pill is what they call like the SJWs and like the.
No, that's not true. Blue pill is like people that are like it's just the opposite. It's like kind of diluted, but I wouldn't say that's SJWs.
Well, I think
that's
like
more so like politics.
Sure, but I think like largely speaking, like the super progressive SJW people that like, you know, hashtag believe all women and toxic masculinity and pro-feminism and blah, blah, blah. Those are like largely like blue pill ideas. Like they come from there. Maybe the blue pill, but yeah, I think that's just it though. Because I don't think there's an actual like blue pill dating community. Is there?
It would just be like Matthew Hussey.
Okay, I don't
you
even
know,
know
like
what that is,
your general, yeah, just like general dating. But they call SJWs SJWs.
Okay.
Just wanna.
Well, wouldn't they say
but,
SJWs are blue pill? I feel like they'd say that.
Honestly, there's some idiots in the sphere, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just like to lump everybody in one category. You know.
Gotcha. All right. Well.
Yeah.
Keep
going. I just want. They'll come for me if I don't clarify that.
Sure. I mean, I would work around those two. Those would be the two starting points I'd give. Yeah.
Okay, so you said something on the stream with Angry Man. I'm not familiar with him, but I did see it. And you were saying that men And then just now you said the thing about showing the emotion, but you said that men can't cry or she's going to leave you.
I didn't say cry. I said show emotion, but sure, we can say cry if you want. I don't like that, like,
Okay.
every time I talk about showing emotion, like, the red pill thing is like, oh, you can't be like a blubbering, pathetic loser in front of you. It's like, well, if you're going to do that, nobody's going to like you, of course. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Don't think that I'm like trying to put words in your mouth. I just suck at talking right now, to be honest with you.
You're good.
But
no problem.
okay. So show any emotion. So like stoicism.
Yeah.
That it depends on if you're trying to build a relationship or if you're just trying to sleep with a woman, for sure.
Maybe.
But there's a lot in the red pill that teaches men how to like access their emotions and really understand them.
Is there?
But you probably didn't know. Yeah, there is. I promise you.
Okay. I'd never
So,
hear any of it
there's-
ever, but yeah.
Yeah, we got to refute their bullshit. They put out some pretty bad shit. So that's why I wanted to have you on. Guys, I'll read the super chats in a minute. What was the second thing? Sorry.
Just the general
more
idea that
so-
like a man's job in a relationship is just to provide resources. Like, yeah. Like, so any
That's
type of
not
like,
true.
so when you're talking about like improving your standing in relationships or like getting women like successfully into relationships, the only framing is usually around providing resources. So basically like upping your money, maybe upping your gym and, you know, how you look. But like generally it's all focused on that, like that resource analysis basically.
So for relationships, right?
Well, I say that kind of. Well, maybe it's for hooking up. It feels like red pill guys don't actually talk about relationships that much. They'll always say like,
They do.
okay, well, I hear them use dating, sex, and hookups. I hear all three of those used interchangeably. So I don't know which advice is supposed to apply to relationships or not. It's very hard to tell. But I feel like I don't hear them talk about maintaining healthy relationships almost ever. It seems like it's almost always revolving around how to fuck a lot of women, basically. But
Interesting. I kind of agree with you, though. Definitely the stuff that gets pushed out a lot is kind of what we would call red meat, and it's like clickbait, just like red pill-esque. But no, men are not just supposed to be providers. I would say that. I think a man can be in either role. It just depends on his relationship, whether he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. Just out of curiosity, this is random. Sorry, I'm tangential.
No, you're
Try
good.
to follow. But do you think that red pill folks follow some sort of political affiliation or whatever? Do you think they're like
yeah.
predominantly right wing?
yeah, for
Or
sure. Yeah.
left.
I'm probably going to be predominantly right wing.
So anybody that ever talks about politics and red pill, like people that have been following the red pill stuff for a while, disown them. Because you're not supposed to like, it's like a very slippery slope. Most of them are actually more liberal.
There's almost nothing you can say to convince me of that, but okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Or
I'm
if
coming in
they
with
are
good faith.
no,
I
yeah, I
promise.
know, but like if they are liberal, they're the kind of liberals that are like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of like I'll decide who I want to support. You know, I'm not sure I can go either way. But then when you look at like their Twitter feeds, the way they talk, it's like relentlessly talking about how hilarious Trump is, and he's actually so funny for owning the libs, and Biden is a huge cuck who might have Alzheimer's. But like I'm kind of a centrist, I'll go either way. But everybody that identifies that way always
see what you're
falls like
saying.
super far right. Yeah.
Maybe I should have used the term progressive.
Yeah, progressive
'Cause
is very far left. None of them are progressive, or are you saying they are?
Yeah, they
progressive?
are.
No,
They
shot.
are.
They're
And
not.
I'll explain.
go
I'll
ahead, yeah.
explain why.
Okay.
So we actually, I say we, but people that have like a red pill awareness, whatever you want to call it, they understand that you cannot go back to traditional values. So what you're referring to is like incels.
Okay.
I hope that made sense. So
I feel like all the red pills I talk to always talk about like return to tradition, kind of, in terms of like this is what men do, this is what men are, this is why we talk about Evo Psych all the time and shit.
isn't it a bitch when people misrepresent some shit?
Well, sure, but
What
if
can you
everybody's
do?
misrepresenting it at some point, you're like, no true Scotsmaning me. Like if all the red pill people I talk to are saying this, I mean, what am I supposed
List
to
them
take?
off. List them off.
Fresh and Fit, the Rollo Tomasi guy, that angry
I
man.
know for a fact.
Yeah?
I know for a fact Rollo Tomasi and Fresh and Fit don't. Fresh and Fit, though, I will say their after-hour show does have a lot of red meat in it, but that's also because that's the most, when it comes to talking to women, it gets the most not only the most shock factor, but it gets to like the heart of the issue the quickest. And I know it's like, why are you talking to women that way? But that's how they'll get the response from them. It's entertaining more so than I would say anything else.
I feel
And
like when
women
I,
end up go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like when I
Sorry.
listen to them talk, like the appeal doesn't ever seem to be like adapting to today's environments. The appeal seems to be like returning to traditional lost masculinity. Like all the
Okay.
advice that they give is stuff that would have worked, you know, in the 1900s or like,
So
yeah, go ahead.
that's when you have to ask, do they follow a religion? Because red pill's not an ideology. It's not like this set in stone thing. Like a lot of people will have different religions in it. So like I know for my dogs, oh Kai, I have 2 Dalmatians. It's chaos in here. But like I know for a fact Myron is more like he follows Islam, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if he
I don't
actually
know.
does. I know a lot of them say they're religious, but I don't believe any of the red pillars are religious. I think a lot of them wear it as an aesthetic, but
No, you just have to learn to like separate it. And it's hard because people keep spewing red pill as an ideology. And I think that's where a lot of misrepresentation comes from.
well, I mean, it kind of is an ideology, no?
No, I wouldn't say it is at all, actually. You've probably, okay, I know.
I feel like red pill implies a whole bunch about your view of the world. That if somebody tells me they're red pill, there's a bunch of like assumptions I can make about their beliefs of the world, and I'll probably be correct on some things 90% of the time. On other things, probably like 60 to 75% of the things at the time.
I understand what you're saying. I would definitely, like the first time I came into the content, it seemed like I was talking to people on the alt-right.
I wouldn't say
Deadass.
that, but like here are some general
No,
statements. Some of them might be, but
some
like
of it was crazy.
here are some things I would say in general, right? I would guess that probably 75+% of like red pill people think that the new mRNA vaccines are some kind of like bad scam evil thing that like causes harm. I'd say probably 75+%. I would say probably 50+% regularly use words like World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, or you'll own nothing and rent everything and be happy. Like these kinds of like globalist ideas. I would say 80+% were either Trump voters or Trump supporters. I would say probably 80+% regularly attack or shit on Biden or the establishment. I'd say that like 80+% probably have a very negative view of feminists. I would say like probably 70% plus have really negative views of trans people. I'd say 60% plus have really negative views of gay people. Like I think that these generalizations are probably about correct. If you saw polling data on it, it'd be probably true.
Definitely when you started with like the conspiratorial, like mRNA, that in and of itself could certainly class people together. I noticed that when people have a tendency to lean towards that, I could also say that they're probably right wing. They're probably, yeah, like I agree with what you're saying, but in terms of like the actual red pill itself, it has nothing to do with your political stance. It has nothing to do with religion. The only thing it has to do with is like, here's some stuff that we have seen kind of aligns with female or male behavior. Do what you see fit. That's it. It's not like people that turn it into this whole like, oh, so and so told me never to fuck a bitch with tattoos or never fuck a bitch with blue hair. Like that's like the extreme that takes it out of context group of people. And the only thing we can do is kind of say how crazy they are, and then people think that we're crazy for calling them crazy. Makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say that, but I mean, at some point, like if everybody on that side seems to be like ubiquitously coming out with these messages, I'm probably just gonna assume
Well,
that
you
like,
said
or I'm sorry, I shouldn't
you
say
said
everybody.
the-
That's hyperbolic. But when like it feels like all of the large content creators are pretty lockstep with this type of messaging, then I'm probably gonna say like, yeah, this is what quote unquote red pillars believe, like because it seems
Well,
to be
you
the
said-
case.
Sure, I understand, but you said fresh and fit specifically, but like I know for a fact Rollo Tomasi does not push that kind of stuff.
Okay, I guess I'd have to dig more deeply, but he's contradicted me on so many different things that I've said, and I've watched his stream before, and it seems like he's pretty lockstep with the fresh and fit guys. I don't think I've ever heard him push back on anything they've said or contradicted, so I assume that their views are going to line up like 95% of the time. Okay.
No, you could. I don't think it matters. Everybody that I've met has different like I said, a lot of them are progressive. Other than if they follow a religion, maybe they'll have old order thinking is what we call it, archaic views, in my personal opinion. I'll call them out and just say it's archaic as fuck.
What do you think?
But other than that,
what do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
For the Rollo Tomasi guy, like, what do you think he doesn't believe that I've unfairly ascribed to him?
can you rephrase that?
What do you think I've said that like Rollo probably believes this, and you're like, oh no, Rollo doesn't believe that? I'm curious. Like if I had to make assumptions about it, he's probably like super pro-Trump, super anti to neutral on the vax, believes like globalist shit, is trying to make men weak, like all of that. That'd be like my guess. Are there some of these things that he doesn't believe, or?
I would say that, can we turn it on women for a second? Because I don't know if I know. I don't want to say for sure, but and I don't know if he wants me to put stuff like that out there. But I'm just for the sake of it, I'll talk about women specifically because I know the red pill shit's on women. Whatever.
Okay.
For women, a lot of people that have big platforms will say women should not have the right to vote.
Okay.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Like me and Rollo are really big on saying that's voter fraud. That won't happen, and we actually do want women to be voting.
Sure.
So
although
like
I would say that's an
big
extreme view that I don't know any mainstream red pillars that put out that view. That's pretty extreme, I think. But
well, have you ever heard that like women make up most of voting polls or whatever, and it's like mostly Democrats? Something like
yeah,
that?
I've kind of heard that before. People will allude to like voter demographics as being an important reason why Democrats win and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and so whenever they're talking about it, they're like, we should just repeal the 19th or whatever the fucking.
Yeah, that
incels
seems
say.
to. And again, that's just my personal experience, so I could be different. But that seems to me that comes from like the black pill people. Like there's a guy called, is it Pigeon Speaks or Sparrow Speaks? I'm not trying to fuck names up. I generally don't. I just don't remember.
I have no idea.
Sure, but that was a guy that I spoke to on a show before, and I think that like people like that, or there's one guy whose like avatar is like anime pillows he has sex with. I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I think that's genuinely what he is.
It's okay.
Okay,
People
yeah.
have their thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't judge.
Yeah, they might be hot anime pills. I'm not sure, but yeah, when I hear stuff like that, my assumption is or I'm sorry, when I hear like about the women shouldn't vote thing, usually that's like the mega incels. That's not like the mainstream. Like I don't think Fresh and Fit even would ever say anything like women shouldn't vote.
They've jokingly said it, I think, just to get a point across about how women end up wanting to set up the community or not the community, like their state in a communitarian way and not like
Sure.
a patriarchal way. I know that's like a trigger word for some people, but when I say patriarchal, I just mean a man in charge. Okay, that's all I mean.
Yeah.
Not saying one is better or worse. I genuinely don't even know. I couldn't tell you.
Sure.
Sweden seems to be doing well, or Norway.
Yeah, but I mean, like usually when those people say it, it's jokes, right? Like everybody in my chat is spamming the Just Pearl thing. That Pearl thinks that like women should be able to. That's not true. She was making a point about like women, like not being in the draft but still being able to vote, like shit like that, basically. I don't know.
Well,
if she...
actually, Pearl was pushing it for a while. I mean,
Yeah, but was she pushing it, or was that
back-
like her
yeah.
edgy thought? Like, did she genuinely think women shouldn't vote, or did she think that women should just have more responsibility in society if they're going to vote? Because those are two.
I think later she was like, oh, okay, selective service, but I don't think for a while it didn't seem like that's what she was pushing.
Oh, okay,
But
I might have missed like the
I mean,
early.
it makes. I mean, when you look at the logic and you're just like, okay, I'm just pulling numbers. I genuinely don't know, but let's just say more than 60% are Democrats. It's like if you're a right-wing person, take away women's right to vote because they make up most of the Democratic Party, and then boom, we win. That's the logic that I saw, and I was like, well, that's voter fraud.
Sure.
We should educate women if that's what you want to do first, you know. But yeah, I just think that low-key, relax. Like the whole selective service thing, it's like, okay, but we haven't been drafted in a while. So in the same time, equal responsibility, fine, whatever. Lokai's mad. So sorry.
You're good.
No, she was genuinely pushing it. Yeah, I see.
Okay. If she was, I just didn't hear it. I only heard her use it in a reference to that selective service thing. But
What other stuff?
what other stuff about what?
I don't know. Is there any, like, Lokai, relax. Is there any other stuff that you hear about Red Pill that you're like, this is problematic? In terms of, like, I don't know. Relationships. Let's go. You say you only hear about them get your money up, fuck a bunch of bitches, and
Yeah, I don't usually hear them talk about relationships ever. When I'm on shows, it feels like they all conflate. I say they all. I should really say Fresh and Fit, and maybe I don't know if I've talked Red Pill stuff actually with Pearly things, but like Fresh and Fit, Sneeko, like it feels like they use sex and relationships interchangeably, and they never like talk like. But they'll even say like, oh, like if you want relationships, like it's really important to, and then they'll start giving advice on like how to like hook up with girls or whatever. And they use that, or they talk about how women date hypergamously a lot. They'll say that, and that doesn't even make sense. You can't date hypergamously. You could fuck hypergamously, but like one guy is not.
Well, it depends.
It doesn't.
Some people don't even believe in hypergamy. That's just to date up and across the hierarchies. That's all it is.
Sure. Well, but usually it's used in the context of the Fresh and Fit guys. It's used to argue the like that 80-20 thing, that 80% of guys are getting, or I'm sorry, that 20% of guys are getting 80% of women, which from a sex thing, I don't even know if that's true, but from a dating thing, it's absolutely not true. Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually, a lot of people fuck this up. Okay, relax. It's actually 100% of women want 20% of guys. It's not that they're actually fucking them.
Okay,
But they want.
I don't even know if that's true,
Which
but
makes sense.
Usually when
Think
it's
about
framed,
it.
it's usually that 20% of guys are fucking 80% of women. When I've been on shows, that's how it's always been presented to me. And then they use the example of like Tinder matches and like top guys at schools, like jocks fucking all the women or whatever. That's usually the context is brought up in.
But think about that for a second. Is that realistic? That every single woman that has an issue with a guy, it's all the 20%. It doesn't even make sense mathematically.
Don't talk to me about that. Talk to them. When I was on their show last, I asked them what percentage of college women do they think are getting flown out to Dubai to fuck, and Fresh said it was 30, 40, or 50% of college girls are getting flown out to Dubai. So I know the numbers don't work, of course.
Okay, I'm glad you know, because that sounds like it's just misrepresentation. And as far as like the data studies go, a lot of people get the OkCupid ones.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking about?
That's usually people will
Dataclysm?
talk about that from like fucking 1997 or some shit, or not that old, but like it's a pretty old one.
They redid it though, so it's still the same. It gets really misrepresented as well, because it's like pretty much TLDR, too long, didn't read it, whatever. It's like men were asked which women they found the most attractive. So
Sure.
It was like a survey. They would just show different pictures of women across all ages, and then they found that men are most attractive to women at 22. But who they message is really close to their age. So they always leave out that part.
Sure.
So like women assume that these men are just messaging 22-year-olds, and the ones that they do, if they do, this was like another caveat or whatever you call it. It was like they don't respond.
Okay.
So it was like it gets misread a lot.
Sure.
So men aren't messaging 22-year-olds. They're just attracted to them.
Okay, sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those people will boil down some of those studies like single numbers to like make very, very far-reaching conclusions about society. Like there's the one that gets talked about how like men tend to rate women more evenly on an appearance curve, whereas women are judged a bit more harshly. But people will extrapolate out from that like women only want to date the top 5% of like 6 foot or taller guys or whatever. Like that goes from there to there, and I don't think that jump is warranted, or I think you need to build up to that a little bit more.
So in terms of like dad bod, is that what you're kind of alluding to? Like,
well, no, what I'm alluding to is that there are a couple other plausible explanations. I don't know what the actual explanation is, but like, for instance, it might be the fact that women are just more attractive in general than men, and that's why they're rated more highly, because appearance and stuff is something that women focus on more. And it might also be that women will rate more harshly on appearance, but appearance might not be a primary selector for what a woman is going for on a dating app. Right? She might say like, oh yeah, like this guy's a 9, this guy's a 9. A lot of these guys are kind of like, oh, you know, 5s or 6s, but like a lot of them are like, oh yeah, if the guy's cool, funny, makes me laugh, got money, like 5 or 6 is fine. Like that could be the case, right? But people will cite that one difference in appearance rating and say, oh, this is why women only want to date the top 1% or whatever, or 6 foot, you know, giga chads.
well, the top 1% doesn't necessarily mean that you're good looking.
Sure, it could be in money, it could be in status, it could be in wealth.
It's probably in money. It's when I hear that, because like most good looking guys are broke. That's why bitches be mad about it. You know, they're fucking a guy that has no career, but he's good looking.
Sure.
Never
Yeah, I think
heard
that can happen for sure. But I mean, like that, what you just said doesn't exist in some red pillars paradigms. They'll say that like that's impossible, or something for some reason.
Incels, probably.
Well, I mean, if you want to
Okay.
call it fresh and fit incels, Rolo might say some of this shit too. Okay.
No. Fresh and Fit don't say that stuff. Fresh and Fit will cite the studies, and from my knowledge, it's a wow factor, but they're not necessarily wrong. And if anything, I see Myron correcting it a lot of the time. I actually don't know if I agree with you when you say that they say certain stuff.
Well, if you ever want to pull up a clip of me arguing their show, because that's usually where most of our disagreements come from, is from my arguments I've had with them. But I feel like, do you know who? Or God.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, you know who
Sorry.
Playing with Fire is? The Alex guy? Don't apologize.
Yeah. No, I talk over people, so.
No, that's fine.
Sorry.
Do it. Fuck. That's. Sometimes you gotta make people listen. But I was gonna say that's a guy that is very much like he's in the pickup artist community. I don't think he's red pill. So, and I hear
No,
him.
not at all.
Yeah, I hear him talk a lot about how like they say this. So like he's got a big focus on like game and like charisma and picking up girls that way. And from what he tells me, it seems like he stands in stark contrast to the red pill community that thinks that stuff like game and all of that is like it's kind of helps, but not as much as things like wealth and status. Seems to be the case. That's what he tells me at least. And then that seems to be what I get from their shows, but.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar other than the fact that Alex read the fucking books. I know he's watching this right now.
Okay.
I'm supposed to go on his show after this. Me and Alex have gone head to head. I think he agrees with hypergamy or he doesn't. I don't even remember.
Well, those are two opposite positions, so it's probably one or the other, I would imagine.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say before though. It was men and women. Every time that I see you on Fresh and Fit, it always comes down to men and women being different. Do you agree that men and women are fundamentally different, or like?
I think that men and women are fundamentally different, but we have more in common than we do in difference, if that makes sense. Like there are going to be. Yeah,
I would agree.
Okay, yeah.
I would agree. Yeah. I think we all agree on that, to be honest with
I
you.
don't know if we all agree on that. I'm not sure about that. You're going to say they do, but I don't think they do. I think they would say, no, women are substantially, like significantly different from men. I mean, look at like one of Myron's favorite sayings, men have to become something, women just are, right? Or women hunt for resources and the way that they fuck is different. That's why one-sided open relationships are good. Men can fuck a lot of people, but if a woman fucks somebody else, she's cheating on you, but it's not the same for a man. I think they think there are big like divides between men and women. That's my feeling.
Again, religion.
What about religion? What?
You see where like religion comes in? Yeah,
No.
because
They justify this with like Evo Psych and how they.
4 wives.
Yeah, no.
Four
It's not
wives.
about 4 wives though. They justify this with the differences between men and women. They never use a religious argument here. They say that
But
man,
just like,
because they'll always say
Hold
like.
on, let me
Oh, go ahead.
just-
Yeah, go.
sorry, I just want to clarify because maybe I'm misinterpreting what you're saying. But to say that they go and say you can open on my end, close on yours, or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say when it comes to sex. Again, Myron's religion and that align, but that's not what red pill's about.
Sure, but they don't
See
say.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is just what I hear from all of them, but maybe it's different between some of them. I don't know. None of them seem to contradict him on that. I've never heard that. But his justification for that isn't a religious one. His justification for that is the fundamental differences between male and female reproductive strategy. That's what he'll say.
Well, I would say that we do have different mating strategies for sure, but I'm not somebody that will promote harems. Like,
Sure, but they seem to
obviously,
make it.
given
Go ahead.
So men, if given the chance, I think would have multiple wives, regardless of religion. But I don't think that society has anything in place that would promote that. Because the way that they see it is like women have these things in place. Have you ever heard of like gynocentrism?
I mean, I can
It's
guess
like
what
the
it means,
opposite of-
but yeah, the opposite of patriarchy or something, or what?
Kind of, yeah, but more so like all the ads and commercialized stuff is also kind of incentivizing women to be single and childless.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
My dog is so bad right now. Hold on.
What's wrong? Maybe he just wants some hugs. He just needs some pets.
No, she's just being a bitch. No,
Oh.
we're gonna go out. I promise, baby. We were waiting for you. Now you got my dogs crying.
Okay, listen. Yeah, I don't fucking check my
Blame it on
fucking.
you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but anyways, so I was saying before with the harems or whatever, like Maybe I should let her out for a second. Hold on.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me let her out.
Knock
Talk to
yourself
my
out.
audience.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love
Say
to.
things. Hold on.
Just a harmless flower. An ally has been slain.
All right, guys, what's up? How you guys doing? From Portia's stream. You guys ever play Factorio? Shit. Okay, never mind. She's back.
Okay, I'm here. What are they saying in the chat?
Nothing. They're
Are they
being shy.
they're being mean
No, they're being shy.
or shy?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Not very red pilled them.
Yeah. Berate me. What the fuck? Okay. So anyways, so whenever you see them promoting this like 4 wives thing, I would encourage you to be like, what religion do they align with? Whether they fucking practice it or not.
I mean, I understand what
'Cause a
you're
lot
saying,
of-
but I mean, like, the justifications they give aren't religious ones. Like, they appeal to like the psychology and shit when they give these relationship takes.
So my whole thing, I know I was talking about, I want to make sure I know I'm going all over the place. I remember I said something about gynocentrism.
Yeah, you're good.
So like in a perfect world to me is a place where both men and women could optimize their mating strategy. Cringe. I hate that. I hate that word.
Okay.
It's just so fringy,
No,
but
that's good. We're talking
they
about
could opt-
females and how they. Yeah, go ahead. Like a fucking science
I
experiment.
actually
yeah.
don't. I don't mind female as much as I mind mating, like as if we're aware of what we do. But anyway, so like in a world where both sexes could optimize theirs. So like right now we live in a world where getting married to one person is the ideal. And if you see a man that leaves his older wife for a younger woman, he's shamed. You notice that, right?
Yeah.
Or like oh, he's dating a woman that's 6 years below him. Again, it's age a lot of the time, but like men typically like younger women to have sex with. I don't necessarily agree for a long-term partner, but like in, let's say, a world where both men and women could optimize their mating strategies, like that wouldn't be shamed for like a guy doing that, obviously within legalities, you know. Like
I feel
under
like
18.
I feel like for some of the sexual strategies, it's hard to know what comes from our socialization versus what comes from like our innate feelings too, right? So, like for instance, it's very easy to make a whole bunch of stories about like, well, women don't want to sleep around because it's not good for identity of the baby or securing a male or blah 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 blah. We can like go back and kind of like make those stories up to fit what we think is true. But like, it could also be the case that women are heavily disincentivized from mating with multiple men because socially, like, we punish the fuck out of it, right? Like that could
I
just
could
be the
see
answer.
that.
Yeah. And it might be like in another society, maybe women are just as promiscuous as men, or maybe they get like closer to it if they don't get like shamed as much for sleeping around. Like that could be the case. I don't know what the answer to that is, but
So have you ever heard of like blank slate equalism?
no. But is this something that says that like the genders start off the same and then they socialize, and that's where the differences come from?
Kind of.
Okay, go
Pull
ahead.
it up. Take your time.
God, you're gonna make me Google shit.
Yeah,
You're doing this
because I
thing?
don't want to. Yeah,
Blank
because if
slate.
I just have
What's it called?
blank slate theory or equalism,
The
because
blank
this is something
slate.
that I find.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something that I find when talking about men and women. This is like, it always comes back to this, because like what you're saying is that women should, or not should, but I hate that word too, but like women have this possible, they want to sleep around, like we don't know. We don't know. We just keep pushing that they shouldn't, or else they're 304s or whatever the fuck. But when you look at like, oh no, my dog now wants to come back in. Hold on. Hold on. Take your time to read it. Also look up Steven Pinker with
The author.
newborns or
Gotcha.
something.
Okay.
Scientist, neuro-linguistic guy. I don't know.
Okay. Gotcha. You still fighting Nick for Sneeko's soul? I don't know what Sneeko and Nick are doing right now, okay? Those two are both... I think it feels like, and I could be wrong, I don't have the sick insider deets, but it feels like Ye is done with his shit. Didn't I say it would happen in like a month or two? Did it happen even sooner? Because Nick said he's going back to streaming regularly. I haven't seen any announcements from either of them relating to Kanye shit. Do you think Kanye's done with his stuff? Yeah, I saw that Kanye got married. Yikes.
Are you reading it?
I read the whole book.
Why did you say yikes?
We were talking about Kanye West. Basically everything with Ye is big yikes, but...
Oh. Is it? Did you not read the thing I asked you?
Well, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, this blank slate thing.
Yeah, so...
It has blank slate, the modern denial of human nature. So my guess is going to be
That's what came up?
Well, that's the name of the book.
That's what came up for you?
That's the name of the book.
Hold on. Don't be disingenuous. Hold on.
Wait, that's the name of the book.
Don't.
The Steven Pinker book, right? The blank slate, the modern denial of human nature
Yeah,
is
but the way that you say it, just
That's
what
his
he
title.
found- Don't worry, guys. I'll carry this team. What he found in his study with newborns was that newborns. I always fuck this up. Forgive me. Just if you want to Google it, newborns Steven Pinker. But pretty much he noticed that within newborns they could pick up on different facial expressions amongst. It doesn't matter the gender. Like this isn't about gender right now. But which proves that there's like I always have a hard time like a firmware.
we have
an
some
ability
sort of like
with
a priori reasoning or
something.
programming that like is probably
Yeah.
almost fundamental to the existence of us as human beings, right? I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think you can see it with kids whenever they just kind of learn to talk. It's like, okay, they picked up on what I was saying, but how did they learn to say it? Like actually like say something. That's
Yeah.
how I always explain it.
Or even more like
so-
fundamental to that, the idea of like object permanence, the idea of thinking that other people
Yeah.
can have unique thoughts. These are things that aren't learned or socialized. We seem to have some like before anything, these are granted to us by the like composition of our brain, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so then when it comes to gender, do you think it's possible that there's different ways that maybe like a man versus woman, I know, don't come for me, you guys, just to keep it simple. We can go into the other ones in a second, but do you think there's possibly a different way that our firmware kind of learns? Or if there's like a differential between them? Do you understand what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah,
I'm not good with words.
Yeah, my guess would be is that in a perfectly even world where everybody is treated exactly the same
Yeah.
and there are no differences from one thing to another, you'd probably still see some gender differences. If for no
What
other
would you
reason,
see though?
I have no idea.
Just like-
but like if for no other reasons,
I-
like we know that like testosterone has certain effects on the body, estrogen and proestrogen or whatever bullshit, like that stuff has like different effects on the body. So like if for nothing
But
else,
to be fair,
yeah, go ahead.
just to be fair, like some can have more, and just to keep it, inclusive. Inclusive.
Women that have more will be up like what is the nanoliter per fucking deciliter bullshit? It'll range from like 10 to like really really high would be like 40 or 50, I think. Would be an ungodly amount of testosterone for a woman, and like the low end for men is like 300, and the span is like from 3. So like some women might have a little bit higher testosterone, and some men might have a little bit higher estrogen, but the levels are astronomically different from male to female. They're completely
So aside from hormones, though, just like because you're speaking in jargon that nanoliter,
Gotcha.
woo, right
Stop.
over
Listen,
my
you
head.
run a
I'm
YouTube
not-
channel.
I'm
Don't
not
act stupid.
smart.
That's my one trigger point. Okay, for women that I talk to, you
Huh?
can't. Don't act dumb. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. You know what hormones are, right?
I know hormones, but
Okay.
like I want to keep it more. Like if I can't picture it, then I would assume a lot of people can't. No offense to the audience. But
Okay,
like,
broadly
I don't
speaking,
know.
men have testosterone, women have estrogen. These two hormones not only impact our
Sure.
mood on the day to day, they probably impact like the development of our bodies and our brains by essentially.
Fine.
Yeah.
But
But-
I want to pull it back to something else. Okay,
pull it
so
back.
when it comes to how, I'm not trying to run you in a circle. Somebody write down hormones.
You're good.
We can come back
You're
to
okay,
it.
yeah.
But like men, and let's say men and women have a tendency, and I know you've said this before, they learn a little bit differently. Like women
Mm-hmm.
can kind of sit there and be in class and take in the knowledge. We kind of see that women are better at school because we're more biologically hardwired for it. I don't know.
Sure.
Sorry. And then for men, they kind of like to throw things, and more spatial intelligence, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Sure.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Now, for why that is, that's a really interesting and complicated question. Like,
So here's what I think. You can tell me what you think.
Okay.
Do you believe that, well, I'll ask you if you believe. Do you think like anything with our ancestors has anything to do with us presently? I don't know how to word it. I'm honestly a dumb bitch.
Well,
like,
stop. Don't say that. Stop. Okay. I don't know.
But
I can't.
clarify it if you want to.
I can't. I mean, the answer has to be yes. What do you mean? Like our genes and our ancestors?
Well, some people don't think so. There are people that like think
Well,
that
I
it's
don't know what
only
you're
in their
asking me. Are you asking me like are
immediate
black people and white people different because of our ancestors, or are you asking me like do genes influence our
No.
thoughts, or like yeah? What were you asking me?
No, I'm not. What are you talking? Why'd you just make this about race?
Well, I don't know because
No,
it seems like you're asking me a pretty
Okay,
common
let me
sense
give you
question.
an-
Like, yeah, our ancestors
Fine,
of course
fine.
influence us, like genetically. Yeah, for sure, of course, right? That the answer can only be yes to that, right?
No, that's not true.
Oh, okay. Well, if
If
somebody
you
said
don't
no to
think
that, I would
so-
assume they're fucking insane. But
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. You give me enough proof. I could probably lean the other way. I was asking you so I can move forward.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to trip you up. I just want
I
to
don't
make
think you're
sure
trying to trip me
say-
up. You're good. You keep thinking that I'm gonna like think you're like trying to
Well-
fucking trap me or something. I don't think you are.
Well, I used to be on debate team. Fun
Okay.
fact. But like, I'm really not trying. Like every time I say I'm not trying to do something, people think I am.
Sure.
But I have
I
no
don't think
agenda.
you are. I have no. If I thought you were, I'd be screaming a whole lot more and probably calling you names. So
Okay.
you're good.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you. But like, so my dad was recruited for the Cubs baseball team. And
Okay.
he was a pitcher. My brother was also recruited. He didn't end up doing it, obviously. And then I was also a pitcher. So you could see kind of like in our family, we were all kind of really good at one thing. Probably came from dad.
Sure.
But for a girl, like let's say when it came to, sorry guys if I'm all over the place, like my pitch with a baseball, because girls normally play softball, but with a baseball it was I think 73 miles per hour, which is pretty fast for a girl last time I checked in like 2013.
Okay.
But with the softball I could also pitch it around 68 miles per hour, which is really fast.
Okay.
Last time I checked. There's
Gotcha.
probably people that are better than me now. But so typically though, women would pitch, if I remember correctly, I know I'm all over the place, but
You're
I think
okay.
they would pitch like 62 miles per hour with the softball.
Okay.
So there's obviously like a component of genetics probably with me.
For
oh my
sure.
god, my dogs. But based on history, men typically, they say, would be the ones to throw the spheres. You know what I mean? I think it was both genders, to be honest with you, but just for sake of argument,
Okay.
like men would hunt, and so their accuracy
Okay.
would be a lot better than women. Obviously, I gave you my example so that you kind of saw the nuance. I know throwing a sphere and a softball is probably different, but
Okay.
do you understand what I'm saying? Kind of, so I can move
I
forward.
think it sounds like you're taking a really long time to say that like men and women like get things, or that people can get things genetically from their family, right? That you have probably some genes in you that are predisposing you towards like throwing things
I think
quickly.
Sure, but I think the way that men and women operate is going to be fundamentally different, because when we go back to like the firmware, I think that women have a tendency to, and this is just from observation and reading different things, but it seems like women process emotions within the moment. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, let me know, because
Sure.
I
Yeah, it
might be
makes
saying
sense.
something wrong.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I don't know if I agree with you, but I understand what you're saying. Sure.
Okay. You don't have to agree. Just be like, yeah, you make sense. For
Can
me.
I, or actually go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can I just like lay out my view of this, and then you can kind of pick apart or tell me what you disagree with?
Can I let my dogs back in?
I thought you just let him back in.
They wanted to go out again. They're barking at me.
Why not
you
just
hear
leave
'em.
leave the door open? Yeah,
Because
go.
then
do
you
what
will hear everybody.
Okay, go for it. Not
Hold
so
on.
bad, okay.
BRB.
Yeah.
I'm coming.
People are saying it's cuxing. I'm not driving any frames on my end, so, and some people are saying it is, and some people are saying it isn't. So I don't know if it's YouTube or what, but I can't do anything about whatever is happening right now. Sorry. is the final frontier.
This is fucking painful. Sorry, that was probably so loud.
Yeah. You're fine, don't worry.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
What am I going ahead on?
You were gonna give me your overall view.
Yeah, okay. This is my overall view on men and women, okay? I think that men and women, biologically, okay, because of how biology works, we all start with the same parts, right? Nature tends to use and reuse things because it's more energy and developmentally efficient, right? So like if you look at fetuses, I think that they start, female, and then if they have the genetic variation to be more receptive to androgens like testosterone, then they kind of like diverge a little bit and they become like more masculine. And then if you look at like little
mutate?
What?
Like mutate?
Sure, we can say that, sure. If you look at like little boys and little girls, they seem to be pretty similar in terms of like they're all small, they've got high-pitched voices, they've all got soft skin. But then when the puberty starts, that's when you start to see an even wider divergence in secondary sexual characteristics. Men become more rugged, they climb mountains, women wear dress, there's social things. But like, right, women get boobs, women tend to exhibit like different features in terms of body composition, men tend to exhibit different features in terms of body composition, right? So that's my foundational understanding is we all have the same parts and we're all built from the same pieces. Now, because we're sexed differently, things like hormones, and I'm going to say mainly hormones, are probably going to drive differences in early behavior. And because of our genetic differences, we're probably going to be slightly predisposed towards different types of activities, right? If I had to guess, men are probably a bit more wired for like physicality, for aggression, for competition, and women are probably going to be more wired in general for things like caretaking, nurturing, stuff like that, right? Broadly.
No.
Okay. Let me finish my thing, okay? In the most broad sense is going to be true. However, in the sense that this is broadly true, there are two things to consider. One is there's going to be a lot of overlap, okay? Like if the sensitivity of men is from like 5 to 9, the sensitivity of women is going to be like 3 to 7. It'll be something. There's going to be a lot of overlap between us. And two, if there's
I hate when you use numbers.
Okay. And the next B, part B, that was part A, this is part B, okay? Part B, okay, is if there are any differences, we're probably going to hyper exaggerate those differences. I think a really good example is the average strength of women, right? That women, when they're socialized, are like supposed to be kind of like weak or whatever. Like that's just kind of how like women are seen. But there's no.
You think that that's socialization?
Let me finish, please. I love you so much, but just let me finish,
Sorry.
okay? Right?
Okay, go ahead.
Women are weaker than men. That is undeniable, okay, on like several deviations. But there's no reason for a woman to not be able to put her bag in the overhead compartment in an airplane. That's socialization.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or like, so we can say an example of that might be, and you said you did like pitching or whatever, right? Like women and men will go to the gym with totally different programs because women think that they like can't build any muscle or whatever, and they just run around and do 52 machines and that's it. Whereas men will like do principles of like, you know, basic building their muscles or whatever. But like if a woman goes to the gym and she trains for strength, she can get like strong enough to like carry her bags. That's all I'm saying, right? So that's like an example of like a thing that is a real
really sexist.
True. It's a small biological
kidding.
difference, right? No, I'm sorry. It's like a medium-sized to large biological difference, but we drive that difference even wider because of how we socialize ourselves. And I think that most of the big differences between men and women start off as small biological differences, and then I think we drive those really far apart socially. So that's my broad feeling on things. So for some things, we can bring those back in alignment. For instance, like men can learn to have emotionally fulfilling relationships and good, satisfying conversations where they have some level of emotional intelligence. And women can be competitive and do sports, like this happens. But like, yeah, it just depends a lot on the socialization. Okay, that's my broad feeling about that.
You've said this before about men and emotions, and can you clarify for me? Like it seems like, and how do I word it? It's like, what makes you think that the way that you think men should process emotions is the right way?
Because men are killing themselves at huge rates because men seem like when they communicate to each other, it's borderline autism. And then when I see the differences between men and women engagement with the opposite sex on things like Tinder or Grindr, men seem to genuinely just have no fucking concept of like what other people are thinking about them or like how to communicate in an appropriate manner. And that kind of blows the fuck away. Yeah.
But what if I told you that you're the minority that says that? Like, what makes you right with that? That's what I'm asking.
I guess at this point we're kind of roughly appealing to anecdote and like social norms. I guess I
No,
could be
no.
wrong. What? I don't know.
So
I don't know if I
would
can ever
you-
come up with a study on like conversation quality
I'm
differences
not
between men
gonna
and women.
fuck the stats. I'm not.
Sure.
Fuck the stats.
Well, then all I can
fuck
appeal
that
to are
shit,
like the
dude.
things that I see people say, the social norms that I see, the way that people like communicate with each other, the personal experiences I have with people.
So-
like, yeah.
When I hear you give experiences, it's usually like a woman saying it to you. Have you had guys say anything to you like, "Hey, like I don't feel like I can express myself"?
No, because they
Yeah,
usually are too retarded to even have the notion that they're lacking something.
Okay, do
Yeah.
you have like can you watch the language?
Sorry. Men are too
Jesus.
emotionally stunted to even realize there's a problem. Oftentimes seems to be the
But
case.
why do you what makes you think that like that's true? Like I'm really not trying to appeal to anybody, but it's always so interesting to me that like the majority of men feel a certain way. They do a certain thing, and that's the majority, but what you're saying is that's wrong. And I'm asking you, is it wrong because women come to you and say like this is I can't connect with them, like they're not emotionally available? Is it just women that do that? Because that would make a lot of sense to me why they do that.
So I look at, broadly speaking, I look at the different ways that men and women communicate with their friends. And I think that it is, I don't think many people disagree that women are much better at forming deep, personal, emotionally fulfilling friendships with each other. And I think that men have a really hard time with that because of the way that we
Who do
communicate
you
with
think?
each other.
Who do you think holds on to friends longer, men or women?
I don't know the answer to that.
I would honestly say men. Like, I'm not trying to set you up, but I think men hold on to their friends longer than women do.
Yeah, but I don't know if that question is meaningful. So, for instance,
So
like,
the-
real quick,
the
like,
reason-
I have a friend. I've got a lot of friends that I've held on to for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of my personal friends growing up is Kyle. I've held on to him for a long time. I haven't talked to him in 3 years. But like, I know if I were to message him, we'd be like chilling. We could go like hang out. But like, is that like
Yeah.
an emotionally fulfilling friendship? Probably not. But like, he
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
So I guess that's one example, but I think men that have their same friends throughout childhood, like from my experience, and obviously we're talking anecdotes, but like I think that they do have fulfilling relationships. They're just different.
Sure, but I
You
mean,
know
like,
what
if
I'm
they're
saying?
different in terms of like less fulfilling, then does it matter if they last longer?
But how do you know it's not fulfilling to them?
Sure, because when
You know
I
what
look
I'm
at the
saying?
I mean we can dive into it if you want. When I look at the different styles of communication between men and women, it seems like women are way more open to share their feelings about particular events and to have conversations and get feedback from their friends about it, versus men tend to stay way more locked up with things. I think a really good
But do
example
you
of this might be
think-
talking about, like, I want to give an example for anything I say so that it doesn't sound nebulous.
Sure,
Okay,
go ahead.
I think a really good example is how we talk about our relationships. I think it's genuinely, or I'm sorry, I think it's generally pretty rare that men talk about their their romantic relationships with their fellow friends, whereas for women, it is exceedingly common for them to share a ton about their romantic relationships.
Maybe because we're different.
Sure, but in
Yeah.
that case, I would say, first of all, there's no reason why men can't do that. I don't think you're hardwired not to have those conversations. And secondly, if we are different in that sense, I'd say
Okay.
women are better in that sense. That's just a better thing, I think.
I just don't think it's a matter of better or not better. I just think it's a matter of difference.
Well, do you think different things can be better or worse?
I think different things can be different and still be good in their context.
What would be the
I'd-
positive here? Sell me this on the male friendship model.
Okay, sure, fine.
Yeah.
Like, so it seems to me that like your friendships, well, correct me if I'm wrong, like your friendships with guys tend to be more meaningful, and meaningful to you is like more in depth, I guess is what you said. Like women have a tendency to be more deep. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that women tend to
Oh, yeah.
have a lot more like emotional exploration, I guess, in friendships, and
Okay.
they're like more open and sharing and everything. Yeah.
Is it possible that men typically aren't that way?
Don't have emotions,
majority-
or what do you mean?
No, they do. So like, there's this whole thing that like, whenever people talk about male emotions, they're always like, men can't cry or something. I'm like, okay, first of all, men have a tendency to lean more towards anger, and being able to process anger is equivalent to women in crying, I would say. Whether you think that's true or not, you can come to your own conclusion, whatever. But like, men just are more so. They process and then they either get mad about something or upset. But with women, and I know I'm tangential right now, try to follow me. With women, we process things as we go. So like, be like, this bitch at work, fucking Bethany, she was saying this, but hold on. And like, we kind of go all over the place. And so we process it in a little bit different way. Guys will process and then they'll tell it. And so maybe by the time a guy tells it, there's not really that much to go off of.
But like, let's
But
say,
it doesn't mean that it's not valuable.
well, let's say that I grant you all of that. Let's say that I say everything that you've just said is true. What sounds better? Somebody that processes everything completely on their own before sharing it with somebody, or somebody that solicits the feedback of friends with help, like sorting through things?
Sure. I do think that men would. I agree with you when we talk about like men should talk about things with their friends. I agree with you on that. But I think that it's possible that it might be healthier to process it yourself first, for women too. Women shouldn't be telling their friends all this shit. It's a burden on us too. It's a burden on a lot of people because we don't, whenever women talk, and I'll say from my own experience, it's like they're still processing it, so they don't know if they want to do A or B. Let's say they don't know if they should go to HR or not. They never should, but like, let's say that was their dilemma. And then the friend will be like, well, you should do A. But have you ever been around women that are like, oh, but should I do B? And then they go back and forth a lot, and then the other person's just kind of stuck there like, I don't know what you should do. I'm just going to tell you either or, and you just try to end the conversation. I think that's a lot of women. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm throwing down.
Yeah, I mean, some
Like,
people
we kind
suck
of-
at, some people are just fucking annoying to talk to. Like, I don't disagree with that. But I think as a general rule of thumb, talking about problems that you have with your friends to get help on like sorting through those. I mean, humans are built as incredibly social creatures. I think that's probably going to be better than bottling it all up and dealing with it on your own. Now, obviously, there can be obnoxious forms of communication where you're complaining about every little problem, or you complain about the same problem over and over and over and over again. You don't actually implement any solutions. But broadly speaking, I think it's probably healthier to have a communication style that involves getting feedback from friends and family.
Yeah, probably. But I don't think that men need to fundamentally like change the way they process. That would be like changing firmware and the way that they remember I was talking
Yeah,
about
but
Steven
again,
Pinker?
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but this is going to be the thing where I said I don't think this is a firmware thing. I think this is a heavy socialization thing. It's hard for me to believe because it's hard for me to believe that a man couldn't just like share an emotion with somebody. I think a man can do that. I don't think there's anything that is like super hardwired into us that makes it impossible for us to do that. I don't buy that.
Do you think they want to though?
I think they don't
Like,
know they
and I'd
want to,
say-
right? They don't know they want to.
Okay.
Like if
Got
you
it.
ask a heroin user what they want, they're going to say more heroin. They're not going to say they want to get
Yeah,
clean. They're going
yeah.
to say give me more heroin, right? So like if you want to ever also, this is just like shit my chat links me, so I'm never trying to like ambush you with anything because
Yeah.
I don't know like in terms of like all the data and all the stats or whatever. Somebody in my chat threw this at me. I'm going to link you this in Twitter DMs. Here you go.
You can just say it. I
Sure.
believe you.
So this was like, it was. I guess this was a survey on who is more likely to receive emotional support from friends. So the first question was received emotional.
Before you even go there.
Go ahead.
Before you even go there though.
Mhm.
What if men process something and don't think there's a problem?
But I'm going to appeal to anecdote here. That's not the case, right? The average
Well,
guy
so
that you meet,
Alex-
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say the average guy you meet is not like some like really well put together, like you're talking, it's like, yeah, I had these issues and, you know, I did a lot of self-reflection and I think I've like really handled it. I don't think that's like the average person.
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying though, is women on average, I don't know the exact number, but women are more likely to seek treatment than men are. And a lot of times men, when it comes to mental health, and this is like my area of expertise, like this is like when it comes to psychotic disorders, it's like a lot of times, even with something like, let's say, bipolar disorder that doesn't always have psychotic features. A lot of times they suffer from anosognosia, which is lack of insight. So a lot of times men, because they have a higher higher probability that they'll have a mental health condition that falls into like a mood disorder or a psychotic disorder, means that they'll have a higher instance of lack of insight. So it's like maybe they don't even know, or maybe the ones that do know are like, oh, it's not that bad, and then they don't seek treatment. I always say, like, when it comes to suicide, the number one symptom of or I'm sorry, the number one thing that will indicate suicide or whatever is depression. So like, yeah, go seek treatment. A lot of times we socialize men to not seek treatment because that means they're weak, right? I'm trying to appeal to you right now because it's kind of like that's what you would agree with, right? Like most men
Yeah, I feel like
don't.
everything you just said, I feel like I agree with pretty hardcore. Yeah.
Okay, so like, what if men get to a point where they don't think that they're, or I'm sorry, what if they get to a point where they're like, maybe my problems are too overwhelming and it's too much of a burden because I haven't really noticed it until now. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that might be
I
the
know that was
case,
really-
but I feel like you're making my argument for me. Or does this go back to you somehow?
No, I am,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
go for
agree
it.
with you on some stuff. I'm trying to make sure that I kind of give the nuance or whatever to be more specific. But so it's like, yeah, men might get to a point where they don't realize there's a problem, and I do agree that we should help men recognize a problem or when it gets too overwhelming. But overall, when it comes to processing information, I don't think that we say, or I don't think that men by and large do it wrong. Like, I do think there is something innate to say about it. I do think we tell boys not to hit, and that's probably an issue. And that's the socialization that you were talking about. And men express their neglect or, because like anger's not, or aggression isn't an emotion, but it's a behavior based on
And
an
we don't teach
emotion.
people how to work through anger very well. We usually just tell people
Yeah.
not to be angry, right? Yeah, I agree with that. But again, I guess like if you want to dive into this, like I would argue in favor of the woman style of communicating here is not different. Well, it is different, but it's just better. It's superior here. Like it's, when I say superior, I mean it's going to produce better outcomes, and the self-reported happiness levels of the people involved are also going to be higher. Like it's just going to be a better way of doing things.
I think that's like we're raising men as defective girls. Why are we telling them to do things a certain way that maybe they innately don't follow?
Because I don't think
Like,
that being
I
able to
think-
have a conversation about your emotions makes you a girl. I think the fact that anybody would even think that's a girl thing is
No,
incredibly
that's
problematic.
not what I'm saying. That's not what
Well,
I'm saying.
I don't think you have
at
to be
all.
socialized like a girl to be able to have like emotional conversations with somebody. I think that that's something that a man can handle doing.
I think they handle it very well.
But
actually.
they don't because they're not doing it.
Why do you say that though? Like when it comes to like men, like let's
Well,
say
yeah, sure. This
in
was
a
the
heterosexual.
thing that I shot you on Twitter. So
Yeah.
for people that are more
Yeah, go
likely to
ahead.
receive emotional support from friends, right? So 20% of men said that they received emotional support from a friend in the past week. That was 40% for women. 25% of men said they told a friend they loved them. That was 50% of women, or 48% of women. 30% of men said they had a private conversation.
You're about to prove my point, but go
Okay,
ahead.
30% of men said they had a private conversation in which they shared personal feelings or problems. That number was 46% for women. Like, these seem like things that are all just like good things to do. And if men aren't doing
Who
them,
did that study? What's the? I know you sent it to me.
yeah,
but
it
I'm
seems
just
like it was
asking.
done from the Survey Center on American Life. Sample size was 2019. It was an American Perspective survey published in
Oh, it's
May
recent.
of 2021. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's possible that men live lonelier lives than women?
I think so, yeah. I think that's almost absolutely true, yeah.
Why do you think that is, in your opinion?
I think that we've been trained very, very, very poorly at socialization, and we have a really hard time adapting to the new world that requires better and more sophisticated understandings of how to socialize than it did in the past.
I would make the argument that you
Mm-hmm.
probably have a lot more girlfriends than an average dude. I think you understand women a lot better than maybe even women understand themselves. But I wouldn't say that you are your typical male by
Yeah,
and large.
but I also, to be clear, to be ultra clear, I don't advocate for anybody doing anything at all that I do. I think I'm an outlier in a lot of different ways, so I don't advocate for any of my lifestyle or any of the shit. I'm just talking.
You
whenever,
have been this entire time.
Absolutely not. I have very few personal friends, and
Yes,
I don't
you
talk to. I
have.
don't talk to.
You've been
no,
saying
no, no,
that
no, no,
women
no,
are
no,
the
no,
right
no, no,
way.
no, 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 no. Hold on. I don't. This is not how I resolve any of my stuff. I don't talk to anybody about my problems. I don't share any of that shit because that's how I personally do things. None of the prescriptions that I'm giving you have anything to do with my personal life. I live a very atypical.
Hold on. I'm not talking about that.
Hold on. No,
You're-
no, wait,
you're-
wait. That's exactly what you said. You just said that,
No,
like,
you
I'm
think that
advocating for things that I'm doing. No,
no.
wait. I'm not advocating for anything.
You're gonna get mad.
Okay, go for it.
You're gonna get mad. You're gonna get mad because
Go
I'm
ahead.
not. I'm genuinely not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you said that women do it the right way.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm basing that
Yeah.
not on my lifestyle or my life or anything. I'm just basing that on like research and like well understood tenets of like psychology and like basic like fundamental like human interaction. That like talking to more people, having more friends, sharing emotions with each other, broadly speaking, non-controversially, this is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Like it's going to increase like our longevity, like our mental health, like our probably our physical health and like everything, right?
Probably.
So if you can do
Do you
more of
think
these
that
things, it's going to be better. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at, but do you think that men are disenfranchised right now? I know it's probably like
It's such a broad question. It's like almost meaningless. I'm sure
Okay,
in
do
some
you
ways
think-
men are. I'm sure in some ways women are. Like, yeah.
Do you think that men are viewed well in society in the West right now? Do you think they're viewed as either like pedophiles?
I think in general, I think men are viewed well.
Stupid.
There's going to be like places on Twitter, some places in like pop culture, some celebrities that say dumb shit. But I think broadly speaking, I think men are in a pretty good spot.
I have to be honest with you. I really don't use Twitter, so I know there's like a whole thing where you can look at threads and shit. I really don't know. Like, I know Twitter was groundbreaking for shit, and I just don't know it. So,
Sure.
for the sake of whatever. But do you think that men? I would say that men, in my opinion, are viewed really poorly right now. I think it's almost a joke.
Well, I guess the
think-
question is going to be when you say viewed poorly, what does that mean? I guess that's the question.
Like overall, like do you think women are happy with men?
It's
I would say probably not.
it's like such a broad question. I don't know how to.
I'm not trying to pin you down. Like
No,
I'm
I
just
understand. It's just, but
asking.
like the question is like so broad that I don't know. Like in terms of like
Then
do
rephrase it.
like
rephrase
I
it.
think that socially there's some dumb stuff that happens right now where men are demonized or over demonized for a lot of things. But when you say like are men taken serious in society, like a male police officer, a male CEO, like a male businessman, a guy with money, a guy that looks really good, a guy giving commands in a social situation, like all of these men are going to be looked up to and respected. Like nobody's going to like say that like, oh my God, like my CEO is so bad because he's a man. Like nobody's saying that, right? Whereas some people might say like, oh, that's that's a woman. I don't know if she can lead as well. Like I don't know, women are leaders, right? So, but like if we go to like social media or pop culture, people shit on men relentlessly, and that's going to affect like young boys or young men that haven't stepped out into the real world yet, that are still like in college or high school. They're going to have really negative views of themselves probably because of the messages they receive. So in some ways, yeah, men are probably like shit on a lot. Obviously, I see it and I fight against that every day because it's so fucking stupid. But in other ways, like men are doing fine. Like in the adult world, like they're not being like attacked or all castigated as pedophiles or anything. Yeah.
So then, like, what's the average age of suicide for a man? If you know, I don't fucking know.
My
I
guess
used
is
to
going to be
think it
like
was
30.
kids.
Yeah, so did I. But I think the average age is probably like 35 or 40 or something.
So do you still agree with what you were saying before? Because you were saying that it was young boys that are gonna grow up to see all this and kind of take it on.
Wait,
Let
no,
me
but I
step
don't
back.
think that. I don't think that.
If suicide.
Wait.
if
I don't think that
suicide
suicide is an accurate tracker for who's seen as good or bad in society. That doesn't make any sense. Because if I was using suicide as a tracker there, I would say that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, if they're committing suicide, my dogs, I swear to God, if they're committing suicide, you could make the argument that their life is harder. Let's say.
No, I don't think that's true.
I'm not saying it like that, but I'm saying it because you were saying before. Now I'm gonna get distracted again, but you were saying that. I'm drawing a blank. Sorry.
In terms
Fill
of
the
who's
space.
like attacked more by society or.
Yeah, maybe, but that's also like an iffy subject. I'm sure you could make the argument for either. But I think like the suicide stats kind of like the fact that men commit it more, we could say it's either because they're not socialized, like you were saying earlier, to seek treatment too, or they don't have enough friends to talk about it. But then you could also say maybe women don't have that hard of a life. You can make that argument too. Like it's kind of nobody really knows. I think.
No, I would have to dig into why that happens. I would never say it's because they have a harder life, right? Because
No, I'm saying you can make the argument for multiple things.
Well, no. What I would ask is I would say, well, what are the reasons? What are the biggest risk factors for suicide? And then that would give some indication. So I googled this and I come across late life suicide.
Probably loneliness.
Yeah, but if it's loneliness, which it is, risk factors for suicide in older adults include the loss of a loved one, loneliness, and physical illness. So if that's the case, then it seems like now we're getting an even stronger argument for men's methods of socialization is bad. Yeah.
But what if, is it possible that maybe what's keeping them lonely is a society telling them they have to do things a girl's way and they just can't?
No.
They can't. I think so. That's
Okay.
where I think like a large thing is like we're pushing this female centric message, and it's possible that men just can't adapt to it. Maybe they're just not fundamentally hardwired for that. Sure, over time you can like try to socialize them and hopefully that passes down, but that's going to be a long time. But I think it's possible that the reason that they commit suicide at higher rates, and you can look at the stats, I would say it probably started around the 60s and it's been continuously either leveled out or going up, maybe for social media. I don't know, it could be multiple factors, but is it possible that like maybe the message we're pushing is that women do things the right way and it's actually not this patriarchy that we've been pushing? I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm just saying, is it possible?
That's like an interesting hypothesis. So it's possible, but I would need like I need something to back that up, right?
All I ask is maybe you look into that.
Well, I have,
I'm
and
not
I've,
gonna
and I've
sit-
never found data that supports that ever. There's not a single anything that supports that, like telling men to have better conversations and more emotionally fulfilling relationships is leading them to kill themselves more. I mean, my understanding is there's no source of
I
data
didn't
that supports
say that. You know I didn't say that.
Well, but when you say like socialize like
don't say
women,
that.
well, but yeah, when you
I
say
think
social,
you're going.
well, what
I
do
think
you?
you're going super high, like fast right now, and like super quick, and you're taking things from prior things and adding it. And what I'm asking you is literally like the thing I said before.
Well, what do you mean when you say
understand.
are men killing themselves more because they're being asked to live in a gynocentric world? Can you expand on that for me? What do you mean by that?
So I'm saying, like, is it possible that the messages that we push are female ways of doing things, and that maybe men can't adapt to it because fundamentally
Yeah, I
they're
understand that
different?
part, but what is the messages? What are you talking about there?
So, like, let's say, love me at any size. We say that for women, but we don't say that about men.
We don't, but
You know
men
what
have
I mean?
always
You-
been loved at every size. So it's a fundamentally
No, that's not true.
that is
I
absolutely
remember
true.
you brought that up earlier when you were saying like the thing about beauty and looks, but I've never seen a dad calendar where it's like of chubbier men. I've never
First of
seen
all,
that.
women.
I've only seen
if
chiseled.
if we look at the difference in beauty, this is just true. Unless you have to acknowledge.
go ahead, ask
if
me.
yeah, if
I'll
we look
change
at
my
like if we
opinion.
look at the types of actors versus actresses cast in movies and TV shows
Yeah.
and everything in culture and singers and everything, and we go back 30, 40, 50 years, there's plenty of like big dudes that like get jokingly called sexy and they have careers and it's cool and it's not all about them being fat or whatever. For women, there is a
Fine.
very narrow mold, although that's expanded recently in the past like 10 to 15 years, but for the large part of our history, there's a very narrow mold that a woman has to look like a certain thing.
Are directors predominantly men or women?
Probably men.
It's men. I don't know the exact percentage, but
Sure.
it is men. Is it possible that we're appealing to things that women say? Like women will be like, I want a guy that's a little chunkier, right?
I just don't think that the
You're not gonna follow where I'm going with it, so
okay. I
Just
just
trust
I don't think that women like rate as harshly on appearance as I think men do. I think that's why men can occupy a larger space, larger window.
50 Shades of Grey.
So much more to
What about it?
You know the book? Have you ever read it?
I've heard about it.
Okay, it's like this fantasized.
I know what it. I know what it is. I know what 50 Shades
Okay,
is. I just
okay,
haven't read the book.
okay,
But go ahead. You don't have to give me a play-by-play.
Well, it's. I won't give you a play-by-play, but like the guy in it is this billionaire that is ripped and shit, and it's like women fantasize by reading that book. It was like I forget how many copies were sold, but it was like one of the biggest. Is it fan fiction? Yeah, because I don't think it's really. I don't think you're gonna find that guy on the street, you know. But that was such a big. It got so many copies. It wasn't even published by an actual publisher. It was self-published or something.
Yeah, she originally started
it's
off
like-
writing a Twilight fanfic, and then it grew into that. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that coupled with there's certain studies where I don't know for sure. I don't always like to pull studies that I can't remember off the top of my head just for sake of not putting out false information. But there was something around the thing that like you could determine how many women a guy slept with based on how muscular he was. So the more muscular, the more women he slept with.
Okay.
So when you, so a lot of times I've noticed this with my girlfriends, this is anecdote, but like that they will say they want one thing and go for like the exact opposite. I mean, it happens more often than it doesn't. This is just my friend group. But a lot of times I think women will say they prefer something, and it might be that, bro, mom's trying to finish an argument. My dog. A lot of times women will say one thing, but they actually go for something completely different. And I think a lot of times we, in terms of media and culture, we will push a message for men to be more dad bod-ish. I'm trying to speak in terms of like what men look like.
I don't think we push that. I think we always push for men to be like pretty ripped. Like that's the push. But we just, even though we push for that, we seem to have a broader space that men can occupy, right? Like historically, they've just been like.
You just proved my point then.
How do you think I've proved your point?
Go backwards.
That
you think in society we have pushed that men should.
Yeah, when you're looking at like advertisements, like men want to all be shredded and stuff. They advertise as shredded men. But regardless of that, socially speaking, men can occupy a broader range of body types. Men don't need health at every size because they've already been viewed as healthy at every size, right?
Say that to a fat guy, Destiny.
Sure, look at Drew Carey. There's people that think that Drew Carey was worse for losing weight.
Is that a celebrity? Come on.
Wait,
like on average.
Yes, look at people like Seth Rogen. Look at Jonah Hill. There are lots of like fat dudes that people love. I think Jonah Hill lost weight.
Have status.
Sure, but I'm saying that even with status, as a female actress, being fat is like, that's almost it. Now it's changing a little bit, but traditionally, all women were like 17 to like 22-year-old, like size 0, like fucking models. Like that was like it was a very narrow space that women could occupy.
I think, okay, with OnlyFans coming out now, I'm not totally moving, but it feels like that. Like OnlyFans, I would be curious to see the body types that men go for on OnlyFans now that there's not this whole production company, like how porn industries were. You know how like they would kind of push a specific image. OnlyFans, this is like studies I want to see come out. I don't have the answer to it, but I think that men typically can fetishize anything. So I don't actually think that there's this beauty standard created by men. I think it's created by other women competing with each other. You know what I'm saying?
I
you don't have to agree.
I don't think women are getting like Brazilian butt lifts and like lip injections for other women. Like,
is it possible that maybe they watch what guys like on Instagram and maybe that's what they think men want?
Yes.
But they're not actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I agree with you because I've fall into that trap before.
I will say though, I think that like it's hard to know this. I don't know what the research says on this, but what you mentioned about women saying they want one thing, but they'll go for a whole other thing. It feels like that in a way it harkens back to a point that I said earlier about how like women might rate appearance more harshly on dating apps than men do. But it might be that appearance just isn't a thing that women care.
Apps?
Yeah, that women might not care as much about like appearance versus other qualities when it comes to selecting a partner. So even if women will say things like, "Oh yeah, I think I'd prefer to be a guy that's like 6 feet tall," or "I think I'd prefer to be a guy like this," if she meets the right dude that like makes her feel good, she'll be like, "Fuck everything I just said." Whereas it feels like this again, these are feelings, but it feels like men can be a bit more selective about that. Like, and maybe you know this, and I just haven't met women that are like this, but I feel like I hear more often from men who say things like, "I really want to be with a Latina chick. I really want to fucking Asian girl," like that type of like more narrow like band of preference. Or like even you'll see like these, no offense, but like these really fat like neck bearded guys on the internet will be like making fun of like other women that are overweight. It feels like men have a bit more of a narrow band in terms of what's acceptable to look like as a woman, whereas women might say a thing, but their band is a bit wider. That's what it feels like, or a lot wider.
I think a lot of times
I feel like I hear a lot of people, this is one example on the internet, I feel like I would have heard a lot of women say things, because I watched a lot of like stoner comedies and shit growing up, that like people like Seth Rogen, like he's like a fat sexy dude, he's cool, he's sexy, I love that guy, right? I don't know of any man that would have ever said anything like that about the about like fucking Roseanne or what's the name of that one? There's that overweight woman that's like in everything.
I know
Melissa
who you're
McCarthy.
talking about,
Melissa
too.
McCarthy. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like guys don't say that
I know
about. Yeah.
Roseanne.
Generally speaking, or Amy Schumer, or whatever. Like generally speaking, these people. Amy Schumer, I don't even know if she's obese, but like these people get a ton of shit about their weight. Whereas like there was never an outcry about like, oh my God, Jonah Hill is so fat, Seth Rogen is so fat, right? Yeah. Okay, go for it.
So I hear you. I think that, like, if you want to talk about dating apps, I know you mentioned that dating apps. I know for a fact that if you are 5'10", your matches skyrocket, or I'm sorry, nosedive to the fucking bottom. I would Google it, but it's like height. Men can't change their height, right? They're born with it, but women can change their weight. You know what I mean? And so like pushing the whole weight thing to be healthy is not healthy. And I know people are going to be like, I know like when people don't actually care about health and they'll push that whole argument, it's like, no, you're actually just being fat phobic.
Sure.
I
Listen,
hear you
literally
with
no
that.
one here
Like,
saying that you're not getting any bravery points for shitting on fat people. We all agree with you. Okay.
like, okay.
The
I've seen different people like argue it, and I'm like, you literally don't care about this person's health, so it's just like annoying.
sure.
But
I mean, the people that fat shame them also don't care about the person's health either. They're usually trying to win dunks on the internet.
they're just shitty.
People just like to shit
Yeah.
on people on the internet. Nobody actually gives a fuck about
Yeah.
anybody's health. That's why when you see like images of like overweight people like doing yoga and shit, like everybody's shitting on them too online. Like it happens. But
Really?
yes, there was that
if
recent.
there-
It was a. Was it
didn't
Nike
see
or was
it.
it somebody else where there was a woman doing some yoga pose with the splits, but she was clearly obese. But like everybody was shitting on that particular thing, even though it was like a fat person like exercising in an ad, which seems good. But
Oh, that makes me sad because I would hope that if like fat people are in the gym, people are nice to them. you
sure.
know?
Was it a Gatorade commercial? I don't remember what it was, but regardless.
I believe you. I haven't seen it. But you know, I agree that maybe women. It sounds like. See, the height thing is what always gets me though. It's like if a guy didn't have status, I don't know any woman that would date a guy below their height.
Below their height, sure, but you have to be careful because earlier you said 5'10". I think that like
So that on the dating apps, it'll go down.
I don't think, but on a lot of
'cause the
dating apps, you don't
average-
even list your height, right? Like Tinder, you don't have to put your height
So-
on Tinder.
Right, but let's say you met. Should they lie, or like if they meet?
You
in
should because
person,
girls don't
you
care.
know?
Girls don't care if you're 6 feet tall. I think in general, like as long
I
as
agree with you on
yeah,
that.
in general, as long as you're like 5'7" and above, you're probably okay. But once you hit like below 5'7", you're gonna have big problems. Not to knock any guys out there, but like if you're like a 5'3" or 5'4" guy, now your height is like a significant roadblock to like dating people. But if you're like 5'9" and you think the reason why you're not getting girls because your height, you're capping like super hard. There's some other creepy
Yeah.
weird shit you're doing 100%. But like I doubt there's
Totally.
there's never been a guy, and the only exception to this is going to be women that are tall, because like if you're a woman and you're like 5'9" or 5'10", some of those women don't ever want to be with a shorter guy, especially if they go out in heels.
What's the
right?
average?
Average height
what's
for a
the
woman is
average height?
5'4". For guys, I think
5'6"?
is it 5'6"?
Is it? I thought it was more than 5'4". You might be right. Yeah, you're
Women
right.
is 5'4". I think men
5'4".
is 5'9". So like if you got like a 5'4" woman and you're like 5'7", 5'8", you're probably fine. But again, when you hit like below like 5'8",
If
below
you
5'7",
have other things going for you, though, I don't think alone on height. Like if you're a broke dude.
yeah,
come
but
on.
nobody's
You
making it.
think you're broke?
Men are not making it alone on height. Being like 5'11" doesn't guarantee you're gonna lay somebody, or like being 6 feet tall doesn't guarantee you're gonna fuck somebody, right?
I think I actually would disagree and think height could probably, if you're really good at lying, which. You know.
Well, sure, but now you're saying right if there's with a conjunction of other factors.
There's other things.
Yeah, a
but,
man's
like,
never
height,
fucking
I
just
think-
because he's 6 feet tall. Like a woman might fuck because she's a woman and she's cute, but a guy's not fucking just because he's 6 feet tall. There's no shot.
You'd be surprised. That I might disagree with you on. I think women are fucking dudes just because they're tall. And they might think that they have money. That might be added to it, but the guy might actually not have money.
He's gonna have to do
I-
like the bare bones, like fucking like hygiene and like looks decent or whatever. But like, there's a lot of like tall cells out there that are
Big
just like
dick.
tall, creepy,
Big
weird
dick.
dudes.
Big dick.
I don't think so. I don't even know how correlated that is. Like if a 6 foot guy on
I don't
average
know
has like
either,
an
but,
8-inch
like,
dick or
women
something, I don't think that's.
But women think it's correlated.
is, actually.
You don't think so?
I have no
Come
idea
on.
actually. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Our whole firmware is trying to figure out if this guy's the real deal or not.
Yeah, but
Whether
like
it's
the most
money, whether it's-
populated people on the planet are Asians who aren't known for having huge dicks. So like, what is the firmware doing
exactly.
there? Right?
And they don't get as many dates. They're
But
probably
they're
the least
populating the whole
matched.
fucking planet, right? How many Asian people are there compared to fucking white people?
What? Wait, what?
How many fucking
You-
people are
well-
in fucking China? How many Chinese people are there, right? It doesn't seem like they're
How
selecting
many
for huge
people are in
dicks, no?
China and okay, fine. But like how many people are in the US compared to fucking China, Destiny? Like, I don't know. Probably more. Aren't they more populated?
Wait.
Like that's just like there's
Wait,
more
wait,
of
wait,
them.
hold on.
What are you talking about?
There's more of who?
I'm not the
Wait, clear that up.
Asians. You were saying Asians.
Yeah, there's more people in China than in the United States, right?
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, but I was just making the argument that like the idea that
They're very lonely. They're not coupling up with people. Like, what? They're the most single.
I don't.
I'm
Wait, hold on.
deadass.
Asians. You can't generalize Asians, right?
No, like they're literally. I'm not generalizing Asians and saying that they're not sexy. They're sexy.
No. I'm
saying
not
that,
talking
like,
about some. I'm just saying that like Asians doesn't mean much, right? Asians includes like South Koreans, fucking people from Singapore, people from fucking India,
Yeah.
like Japanese people, South
Yeah.
Korean people. Yeah, there's gonna be
Yeah,
different
there's
like
more of
dating.
them.
No. Okay. That's where.
I'm sorry, I don't understand it. Go ahead.
I'm just saying you wouldn't make a statement about Asians the same way you wouldn't make a statement about like Americans and group in like Canadians, Mexicans, and people from the United States, right? You'd treat these as three
Right.
distinct groups of people, right? So
But you said China.
well,
That's
because
where you lost me.
because-
I thought you were just talking about China.
yeah, but China is not all of Asia, right?
Right. But you were saying just China earlier, and China's bigger, isn't it? Maybe it's not. I don't know a map.
China is not bigger than Asia. I promise you that.
No, I thought China is bigger than the US. Is it not?
It is. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I started to read a map this year, so I'm like I was positive. And then you started adding in the other stuff, but like yeah, but I thought we were talking about China and the US.
Okay. To recenter way back
Stop.
on where we were. Okay. You were mentioning the fact that like, oh well,
I
women.
think we talked about enough. I think it's good.
Okay.
I'm tired.
If you're yeah.
I have
okay.
to go on Alex's show. Oh, I'm late.
Uh-oh. Be careful. All right. Well.
Sorry, Alex. But anyways.
I was late here because
it
of
was nice
Alex talking to me,
you.
so that's fine. You know, he fucked over both of us, I guess. So.
Oh, he did. It was his fault.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk about these conversations.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hopefully, I didn't piss you off too much. I was really not trying to make you mad.
Nope, you're good. No problemo. Okay.
Alrighty. Have a good one.
All right. Have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. That. I'm gonna be totally honest. I saw the picture she had on Twitter, and it was a silhouetted picture, and she mentioned the red pill stuff I was on, and I thought it was a black woman that was coming to talk about like those black men, black women issues. I just made that assumption. I was dumb. I don't know why I did that. But the picture on her thing is not a black woman. It's just a silhouetted white woman. I was not ready for that. Okay. And even if you wanted to talk to people about that, that's fine. Even if you wanted to talk about sexual shit, that's fine. My issue is that he's already put the narrative out publicly that I'm sexually abusive to smaller female orbiters. One, and he puts it up privately as soon as he DMs somebody saying, hey, Steven has been abusive towards multiple people, especially women. Do you want to come forward too? Like, he's already got the conclusion. He's not going to walk back from that, no matter what. That's a foregone conclusion. I already know that's going to be, because he can't. Because if he walks back from that, he looks fucking horrible. He would never do it.
I think he will.
Okay. Would you want to put money on that? But fact, here's a secret fun fact. Do you know why Ethan Ralph was publishing shit, talking shit about me sexually? Do you know who she was leaking that to? Was she ever public about it? Lav, who she was talking about the fact that we hooked up.
No, I don't know.
It was fucking big tech. What a crazy fucking twist there. That she was sharing our fucking sexual exploits with fucking big tech of all people. The guy that spam reported and got Max's channel removed.
Tonight I'm doing a interrogation of Mr. Girl with some of the Mr. Girl community.
Wild.
And I'm coming at it very seriously.
Of course.
And I want you, if you have any questions that you consider good faith, and I know that you're very freaked out by the whole situation, but I will ask them.
I'm not freaked out. I'm chill now. I figured it out. I sorted my feelings. But
So,
yeah. What do you want me to ask? You're his.
so
fan,
a
right?
lot of my questions are going to revolve around nailing down the ethical lines that he's saying that he's trying to be like do it in a very ethical way, but I don't think he's defined that nearly as much as he should, which I think is concerning, and he needs to do that. So a lot of my questions are going to be making distinctions between unethical and ethical practices in this type of thing, and exactly where he stands and what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and what he's willing to do and what he's not willing to do. because he hasn't really gone there so far.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any questions along those lines, maybe, or different lines? Or
I don't really have any
anything
questions.
that-
I feel like it's already kind of destroyed from my end, but I mean, like, he's obviously gonna do his shit, which he's.
Is there any concerns that you have that would be mitigated if he would answer a question about it?
No, because the damage is already done.
I think there's there's probably three huge issues. One is, if you truly are a victim of something, I don't know if you can also spearhead the investigation as well. Feels like it should probably be handed off to a third party, because to be a victim and an investigator at the same time seems almost impossibly contradictory in terms of nature, right? You're going to be like super motivated to do fucky shit. So that's the first issue. The second issue is that before he's actually come to any concrete conclusions about anything, he's already painted me as a sexual abuser, essentially. He's already said that. Like, he's tweeted out that there are 20 women and blah, blah, blah that want to come forward, but they can't because there's a theme that everybody I talked to for Destiny. There's a terror that they won't come out and say anything. So, and he's done all that before presenting any evidence. So he's given me like an impossible accusation to fight against, because I don't know who these 20 women who are afraid to come forward and terror are. I can't even begin to respond to anything. So that's two problems. A third problem is he's already begun privately reaching out to people, implying that there are these 20 women. That's another huge problem. So he has reached out to people, and he's said essentially there's a bunch of people ready to come forward. We just need your story so that we're all brave enough to do it, essentially, is what he's telling people behind the scenes. I've had at least 3 people tell me that.
I will ask him in that case. Then I think a good question to ask is he being honest about that? Is he really...
No, but he's not going to say he's being. He doesn't have to, because here he's got the perfect out. He's going to say, yes, there are that many people, but they're not comfortable with me sharing their stories. The reality, and I know this from every girl that's talked to me about like his conversations with them, is he's built everything off the Anna story. Everything is. But he's pretending like he has like a wider pattern. He's saying that like, oh, girls are saying this and that, but it's not girls, it's just Anna. He built every single part of his narrative off of just Anna's story, and he's pretending that it's a pattern that he's already found, and he just needs a few more girls to confirm.
Well, I'm coming down on neither side here, but and you, that might be to your you might hate me for that, but you understand how you can't prove that, and he can't prove it too.
Yeah, but the problem is he's the one making the assertion. So like, what am I like? The onus isn't on me to do it; it's on him, right? He's the one coming out and saying essentially, he's not essentially. He's already said that I'm abusive, that I'm an abuser, that there's a pattern of women that I've abused. Like, he's already saying this. Right?
Yeah, the onus is on him.
But he's saying that he's asserting that with no evidence, right?
Maybe. I'm
sorry. Let me rephrase. He's asserting that with no evidence that he's made public, right?
Yes.
So let's say right now, what's probably going to happen.
Wait, I don't know to what extent he's exerted it yet. He's trying to avoid talking too much about the details.
Hold on. Do you need exact examples of either the emails he sent to people, the messages he sent to people, or the tweets that he's made, or the comments he's made on his stream? Because he said it in all 4 of those formats. That I'm an abuser. Hey, Hafu, I'm coming forward as an emotional abuse victim of Destiny. Some others are coming forward with me, and I'll be writing an article describing abusive patterns I and others have experienced, especially women. Would you be willing to talk to me about this? I've been doing off-the-record voice chats in Discord, or we could just DM, but I find talking allows me to convey a lot more. I'd like to start out by just explaining my thoughts about it. Like, he gets these people basically, and I've talked to a few people that he sends to, he gets him on these like 2 or 3 hour phone calls basically, where he's asking like every fucking personal question that he can relating to like my community and me and like people I've dated and everything. It's just like, it's so fucking weird. It's so fucking strange. And the thing that annoys me too is that he's always presenting these things as though there's all these women ready to come forward, but they're terrorized, right? There's all these women coming forward, but like they're like living in terror. That is a troubling pattern with women. That's what he said.
Yes. The only thing that I don't remember hearing, but if you show me, and then I'll believe you. But the only thing I don't remember seeing was him saying that there were 20 women.
That's a message that's been conveyed to me privately multiple times. So there are 15 plus people, that there are 20 plus people. That I don't know. The girls that are talking to him, I don't think they're recording his conversations with them. But that's the thing that girls keep telling me that he's saying to other women. I think he's lying to them when he talks to them privately, saying that there's way more people than there actually are in order to get them to come forward or to feel pressure to come forward with more stuff.
Right. Okay. So if it's true, that he doesn't, and in the end he just...
So real quick, I'm quoting one of the girls that messaged me.
Okay.
She said, he claims that he has upwards of 20 accounts, and he still considers Anna to be an ally. but I won't read any more because I don't know what he knows about this person or who he knows is telling me they're talking to him or whatever. But yeah. So that's one person that's told me that, and then I've had other people tell me in phone calls that he said the same thing, that he'll keep doing this. I also know for a fact that he's contacted people that nobody knows about publicly, and the only reason he knows about them is because I confided in him those people privately. But when he contacts those people privately, he lies and he says that there are hundreds of people talking about it, and that's how he was able to figure it out, because there are tons of people. But that's a lie. That's not true at all. Like, when people ask me to keep things secret, I generally keep them secret, right? Except for like a close handful of friends, Mr. Go being one of them. But he's going to these people privately and saying, "Yo, everybody's talking about this," in order to like make them feel like I've betrayed them, privately, so that they're more likely to share stories with him. But that's just a lie. I know that to be 100% true as well, but
this is private though. This isn't something that you can share.
Share what?
That you can share the evidence of that.
Well, no, because then I'd be revealing. You can ask him. He's not gonna deny that.
Exactly. That if that's true, then you're both in the same. Like from a complete outsider, and people are going to be more primed to trust one or the other of you too. But from a complete outsider, if you're not primed to trust either of you, both of you have the same position of, I have evidence that I'm not talking or I'm not sharing.
Wait, but that's
right
not. That's hold on. I happen to know that you raped 5 women, but all 5 of them are too scared to come forward. Like, how are both of us equally trustworthy there?
Wait. What do you mean?
I know 5 women that you have raped. They contacted me and they told me this, but I can't reveal who it is. If you say I didn't rape anybody, are we both equally trustworthy there?
No, the only comparison I'm making is that if you're proving he said that, but you can't share the evidence that proves it.
But there's no possible way I can do that, because I would have to reveal who the other person is.
That's okay. That's okay.
Or people
that's okay.
are.
I'm not.
Sure, you
can
you can ask him if he's lied about it privately. I don't know if he'll admit to it or not. If it comes out to that, I guess I can start breaking that out. But then I'm going to be breaking other people's confidence to do so, and I don't really want to do that.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But no. It's not fair, because now I'm like in an impossible spot where I have to like prove my innocence without being able to work with private information. Like, I'm fucked, right?
If he's not lying, that's the position he's in. But I'm getting the sense that his investigation is going to be more just descriptions of types of behavior that he considers abusive. But maybe I'm wrong.
Sure, and listen, here my issue is his framing, okay? If he wants to say that, like, Destiny is inappropriate and he brings on smaller creators and he feels like that I don't provide enough protections for them, or I throw them into too aggressive of a platform and that can fuck people, so that's fine. If he wanted to do, and even if he wanted to talk to people about that, that's fine. Even if he wanted to talk about sexual shit, that's fine. My issue is that he's already put the narrative out publicly that I'm sexually abusive to smaller female orbiters. One, and he puts it up privately as soon as he DMs somebody saying, "Hey, Steven has been abusive towards multiple people, especially women. Do you want to come forward too?" Like, he's already got the conclusion. He's not going to walk back from that, no matter what. That's a foregone conclusion. I already know that's going to be, because he can't. Because if he walks back from that, he looks fucking horrible. He would never do it.
I think he will.
Okay. Would you want to put money on that? I'll put $15 on it.
15. Well, I don't know if he absolutely. I think he would. So, but you know what? I will put $15 on it.
Good. Okay. Got it. Yeah. To be clear, the model that he has in mind is that, like, I tell a girl that I'll fuck them, or I'll let a girl come on stream if I fuck them. I have sex with them, bring them on stream, and then I have my whole community will make fun of them, and I get off from that. That's like a sexual sadism I have, and then I kick them out of my community after I've gotten off from that. And then Mr. Girl says, yes. There's a general pattern of 1, bring on female orbiter, 2, fuck her, 3, trash her with the community, and 4, discard her. I'd like to stop this from happening, but I can't really if she doesn't want to come forward. Well, that didn't stop him from leaking DMs, eh?
Right. I think that you're piecing together a lot of things from different places, because I don't think he said that specifically. I think that came out from... I think it was like DMs of someone talking to Anna or something.
What he said was this exactly word for word quoted. Yes, okay. Stop. There is a general pattern of : 1, stop. Bring on female orbiter, stop. 2, fuck her, stop. 3, trash her with community, stop. 4, discard her, stop. He's said exactly that. I'm not paraphrasing or anything. These are exactly his words.
Okay, I in that case then I do hope that he can prove that, because you're right. If he did make that that statement, it is irresponsible if he couldn't prove it at the time and he can't prove it going forward.
Gotcha. I'm pretty sure he's tweeted literally that as well. But again, he's built that off of Anna and Lav's story, so that's probably enough for him to feel like it's a pattern because he has those two
But
people.
I still will take that bet because I do think that if he does not have evidence, I think he would be the type of person who would be willing to say, I was absolutely irresponsible when I said that.
I don't think so because he's already between Lav and Mr. Girl, or between Lav and Anna, he probably feels like he has enough. And then you have to contend with other things that he said. The blackmailing Lav thing is insane. It doesn't make sense in any world.
Okay. So another thing that I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to mention this. I think that looking at it from both perspectives, he said that his overall content goal mission, like he's got a very strong mission, and that's empathy. And I brought up to him that the way he's conducting this is very divorced of trying to get into your mindset and understand the reasons for your actions. It's very divorced of empathy. And his response to that was, because he feels very personally invested, he can't do that. And if he were to frame it within your framework and your mindset, it would make it impossible for him to investigate the thing that's caused him to feel distressed. So what he said was, afterwards, he wants people to pick it apart and take it, like put it within your framework. And I think that there's a very clear conversation to be made that's actually productive. That he's not the one. Neither of you are having this conversation.
Hold on. Hold on. Wait. Real quick. Don't say
Yes,
that.
sir.
These are conversations that I've had publicly and privately before Mr. Girl even knew what YouTube was. Okay? I have absolutely had these conversations. There is a reason why I've been sexually active with a ton of people, and I've never even remotely approached a complaint like this in my life. There's a reason why even women that I've been sexually active with that hate me have never levied a complaint like this at me ever. And in terms of talking about how we deal with people in the community and abuse and like posting on the subreddit, we have these conversations constantly. It's cute that this is his first time ever being involved with any of this stuff, and now he thinks he's like some genie that has like some huge insight into this. But please, we've been having these conversations for a long time. I don't appreciate the framing that he's all of a sudden enabling us to have conversations about these types of things. It's not true. And he is the last person in the world to ever be able to have good conversations around like consent or manipulation when he does it all the time. So I reject that.
I'm not convinced of the last part, but I do.
Wait. I'm sorry. Let me let you finish. Go ahead.
I do understand where you're coming from. So when I was saying that conversation is not happening, what I didn't mean to say that you never have that conversation. What I meant to say was that it's not what's happening in regards to this. Neither you or him in regards to this specific bullshit drama, whatever, are having that conversation. And I think afterwards, I think that we can contextualize both your understanding, your lived experience, because what I believe is that, and I may be wrong, this is not something I would bet on, but I believe that the way that this is going to boil down to is descriptions of behaviors or actions or scenarios that from his perspective look one way and from your perspective look another way. And I think from your perspective, you've had a lot of experiences that have...
Wait, hold on. Okay, no, wait, let's stop for a second. Hold on. You're going to do this and you're never going to stop, okay? I can tell because you're like an enlightened Mr. Girl fan where everything is fair and everything is equal and nothing is like right or wrong and everything can be whatever, okay? But that's just not true. There are not two ways to describe the way that I interact with people. And they're like, oh yeah, from one end, I could kind of see Steven being kind of like a sexual abuser rapist. Like, I think that's like a legitimate point of view. That's mind rotting. That's just bullshit. And I think people like you,
it's gonna come out like that.
It is.
I don't think it's gonna
and
come out like that.
you're running cover for it. Like, oh well, there's probably multiple perspectives in which you could. That's fine. There might be like different ways to have a conversation about this. But Mr. Girl's the last person in the world that's even capable of having that conversation. Like, he's just not, he can't do it. He doesn't know anything about consent or abuse dynamics or any, he doesn't have the background for it. And he clearly can't tangle with the topics in a responsible manner, right? Like, backing up real quick to something you said before. You didn't agree when I said that he was a manipulator. What do you say to him lying to Lav and Anna, pressuring both of them to make statements saying that I was about to nuke them when I'd never given any indication whatsoever that was going to happen? Or when he talked to Doobie saying I was stepping up attacks on him when I hadn't been. Sometimes I react to videos of him talking to Lav. I've never stepped up attacks until both of them started to get crazy in the background. We can watch that Twitter video together and you can tell me if it feels like manipulation to you. Do you want to do that?
No.
Why not?
No. Because just to finish my thought here. Okay, what I was trying to say, is just that I believe that a lot of the things that this is what I believe is what's gonna be. A lot of the things that he sees as abusive because they've made him feel bad or affect him negatively or affect other people negatively. I think that within the context of your history streaming and shit, you've had a lot of fucked up negative experiences that you protect yourself from, and these methods of protection, which are or from the context, seem absolutely reasonable.
No, stop, dude, stop.
Written shit about it.
You're gone. You're absolutely gone.
I know I understand what you're doing, but like you're trying to give like
about this.
No, you're giving like a rationale for why I might be an abuser. That's what you're doing right now. I'm not abusive. I understand that I've had a lot of like adverse like situations in the past, and now you're saying like, oh no, I understand why you're like an abuser, creepy, rapist kind of person. Like I understand it. Like no,
rapist,
hold on,
rapist,
wait. Okay, I don't know how old you are. I don't need your sympathy, empathy, your trying to figure out why I'm a creepy. Like deal with the claims themselves. Okay, you can say that I've had like a lot of negative interaction with people in the past. That's fine, but I haven't taken steps to increase my abusiveness of people that come on my stream. That just doesn't happen. That's insane.
No. The only steps would be to distance yourself from negative scenarios. That's the only.
Okay, but you're saying that that's manifesting in an abusive way.
Well, no. Hold on. Like, I'm not saying that. And also, you keep adding in that I'm saying that would manifest in being a sexual abuser and stuff. I don't see any evidence so far that you are a sexual abuser, other than the fact that you have a lot of sex.
Okay, but that's Mr. Girl's claim, and that's what he's already been public with.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. I'm interrogating that type of thing. But all I'm saying is, I don't know what he's got as far as evidence or whatever and I don't know what his ethics are for getting such a thing, and I want to hammer that down, and I want him to be very clear about that. But I can understand why someone might feel that way.
Why someone might feel what way?
Just like the whole dynamic of like what you're describing as just streaming, like with all this attention and all this drama. You said that you have these conversations over and over and over again.
Wait. Why somebody might feel what way?
They, as a response to the limelight and your streaming and like getting popularity and shit, and the community and the Reddit and all that stuff, people there have been more than just him, people that have come out of that like not being okay with the whole thing.
Hold on. Not being okay with the whole thing is different than abuse. Abuse implies some relationship of power where the other person like can't leave. That's what abuse is, right?
I understand.
Well, okay, you understand, but the way that you're weaseling with words is like, and this is what I think it's going to end up being, where it's like, oh, well, Destiny's mean to some people on the server. Yeah, of course I'm mean. Yeah, I'm an asshole. I've even made fun of people. There have been even times where my community has like harassed people, but that's different than this like captive, abusive relationship that he's describing, especially a sexual one with a proclivity towards targeting women.
Right. I don't have much to say about the sexual thing because I don't see any evidence of it, and because I see no evidence of it as of now, I don't think it's true. Until I do see evidence, I think it's not true.
Hold on? I want to watch this video.
Strongest argument.
Okay. We're gonna watch this video real quick, and you're gonna tell me how you feel about it.
Okay. Am I watching it on your stream?
Nope. I'm adding you as a friend. Once you accept it, we can watch it together. Okay.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready. Oh, there you go.
Ready?
Got it.
I'm unable to view this tweet because the account owner limits who can view.
Open it
tweets.
in incognito. They probably blocked you.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
3.
I'm watching it.
Wait, no, don't watch. We'll start at the same time.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Mr. Girl, I think Destiny's strongest argument against you is that you're manipulating people behind the scenes, not necessarily that you're merely investigating. I agree that the Anna sexting is weird, but not that bad. So I think the manipulation of Anna and other women by you is what you should comment on. Okay. I don't know what manipulation you're talking about. With Anna, I said, listen, Lav just said that you've been sexting with Steven for a year. She has triggered a nuclear attack. Stephen is about to attack us. And I need you to give me proof of that. I need you to give me proof, because without proof, he can discredit us. But you, Anna, you are the weapon that Stephen uses to discredit women. No one wants to be an Anna. If you take that away from him and say, actually, he's been lying about Anna this entire time, then he can't do this anymore. It puts a stop to it. So I said, please give me a screenshot. I know this is scary. She said, can you do it without the screenshot? And I was like, I don't think so. I need the screenshot. We need to come forward. We need to do this right. We need to back up Lav, because Lav has made a claim, and now we need to give her evidence to back up that claim, or else she is going to get dogpiled, and I don't want to watch this happen to her. I don't want to watch it happen to you. I don't want to watch it happen to anybody. I want this to stop. So if that's manipulation, then sure. But I don't think it is.
Okay. Are you done watching that?
Yes.
Okay. Here is my, this is like a general life guiding principle that I have, okay? If somebody tells me a story, and in their version of the story, they sound kind of bad, then I know that they f***ed up really hard. His version of his story sounds horrible. We're not even a little bad. When he's literally saying like, oh God, Destiny's attacking us, he claims that I use her as a weapon against other people when he's trying to wield her as a weapon against me? And then saying like, you're the only one that can stop him. We need to come forward. We have to do this right. We gotta back up Lav. She made a claim without evidence. We need you to come through with the fucking pictures. How the fuck are you not putting an unimaginable amount of fucking stress and pressure on her, who already doesn't like to have shit like leaked and made public and shit? How is that not textbook manipulation? And that's on his version of the story, by the way. We're ignoring her version, where she says she spent 2 or 3 hours on a phone call with Max and Shaylin both pressuring her to give a picture, and she finally broke down at the end. I don't even her testimony. I don't even need her testimony. How is just not what he said right there alone insane?
Well, so he has a pattern of being extremely forthcoming with every possible negative aspect you could claim about him. So, given that, you could also say that everything he ever says is like that.
Isn't that just part of the abuse? Isn't that part of the manipulation? Oh, I can't help it, but I'm just super honest, and if you don't do this, my life is over. Like, what?
That's possible. I don't know.
Okay, just because you're super open and honest doesn't mean that you don't have any control over yourself, right? I'm an asshole, but I cannot be an asshole, right? If I'm meeting like a girl's parents, or I'm meeting like new friends or friends of friends, I'm not gonna come out maximum debate bro mode, right? Now on stream, there might be people that don't like me because I'm really abrasive and hyperbolic, and that's fine. I'm like, oh yeah, I understand that. But it's not like I don't have any control over that. And you better believe that when I'm in a private situation with somebody, especially in a conversation as sensitive as this, I could turn it down. Are you saying that he's incapable of doing that?
I don't know.
And he even told Anna that she was gonna get dogpiled.
I wasn't saying anything on it, really.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, this is manipulation. He's claiming that both her and Lav and Miss Girl are all at risk from the horrible, evil dogpiling Destiny, and then I'm about to nuke all of them unless they get personal, private information from her that he can use to attack me with. This is like so cut and dried, but I understand that Max fans, it's impossible to get through to you. So, but like Jesus, dude. Well, so now he can literally, if your mind is here, like there's nothing that is gonna convince you otherwise. What else do you want to talk about?
I'm not. What do you think I'm convinced of?
That like he's just asking questions. That this is just the way that Max is, and there's nothing he can do. And there's like good questions to ask, and it's all legitimate, and all of it is okay. And like, who knows? Like maybe Destiny's like a creepy rapist. Maybe he's not. But like, it's all worth like talking about, you know.
I'm not convinced of that. You're telling me I am, but I'm not. I'm actually convinced of very little. Like I have probably, I don't know, like 20, 30 questions that I'm going to be asking him, trying to make him hammer down what his ethics are, and what his what lines will he cross, what lines won't he cross, what behaviors would he condone, what behaviors would he not condone regarding this type of investigation, and if he's being honest, and to answer those is going to put him, if he's being dishonest, is going to put him in a bad place if he answers those incorrectly, and then it comes out later that he was wrong. And it will, because he's going to be publishing his findings.
You know what? If you want, ask me a question, and I can already give you every single answer that he's going to give. You're not going to get any honest, or this is the problem. This is the problem. He is going to be honest, but he's fucking NPD. this guy has a whole world constructed that self-justifies every action. Like if you ask him, like, don't you feel bad about like publicly tweeting all of these things? His response is going to be, yeah, but Destiny forced my hand by going public with things. That when Destiny did that stream, he's attacking and shredding my credibility. The only possible way I could get people to talk to me is by also like attacking back. Otherwise, my whole investigation dies. Like he's going to have a reason like this for every single thing he gives. That's and then you're going to like lap it all like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Oh yeah, true. You do have to message girls and say he's abusive.
What I think. One thing that I can't get over that I think a lot of this It's like when gangs like start fighting over sneakers. I mean, not. This is obviously a lot bigger than sneakers, but the thing that started this is the fact that, when Lav came forward about some stuff, then he needed to back her up, and he wasn't ready for that, and that put him in that was not a smart decision as far as his investigation is concerned. If he's trying to be like very by the book and very ethical and credible, that act now has started a chain reaction of bullshit.
Yeah, but all he had to, that's his fault, right?
I know.
but no, not like he hitched his trailer to Lav. So if he retweeted her Patreon post where she accused Hassan Piker of fucking a 17-year-old, and she's still repeating that claim in the background, by the way.
Sometimes I be talking, and a lie just, and I'm like, girl, did you really just, we didn't mean that? That's not real, sis. You're crazy, though.
Femoid Jewish evil. This is from like some f***ing dude's Discord server. I think Hassan's outrage against everything is really funny because he slept with my friend when she was like 17 and he was 24. Yeah, I'm not dropping it. Believe me or don't. She's never coming forward, so I'm not either. Then why would you? First of all, you just lied there. That first statement is a lie. Also, why did you say this? You can't do that. That is like not in the rules, okay? You're just a bad person, okay? You just lied and then you followed up and said, I'm not coming forward with it. She's not either. If I would, I could. Believe me. NDA. Also a lie. Also a lie. I literally asked her. I was like, was there an NDA involved? Like, what the f is this? Like, you know, are you serving NDAs to your friends? She's like, no. This person is literally making up false allegations about someone that we both mutually have known for many, many years. Okay? This is the most insane part of the story. We both know the person that she's talking about for so many years. And she's just lying about a whole bunch of shit, thinking that neither of us will come out and say anything about it.
What about this NDA you signed? I've never signed an NDA. I would never sign an NDA. You can burn me at the stake. I don't know what the context of that message was, but it was You clearly said you signed an NDA. Lavloon. I would if I could, believe me. NDA. Wait, she signed an NDA? I did. I must have said it to something else because I literally didn't, LOL. Right? She's the one that connected Anna to Max. She's the one that told Max, oh yeah, Steven and I had an illicit sexual relation. She said those things. So now she's tweeting like, oh, I have nothing to do with it. And now Max might want to try to distance himself from her now that she's literally in Chernobyl level, ground zero levels of radioactivity. But together, they were in, 2 peas in a pod, 3 peas in a pod, really, with his creepy and, zombied out girlfriend that he's abused for however many years, right? Like, all of them are together. It's not fair to separate them now, right? And this idea, like, well, he had to defend Lav, that's his fault then.
I don't think, I'm not actually not separating them. Like, no, yeah, he made a promise that he would be there for her and protect her, and he did that to his fucking massive detriment.
And to Anna's detriment, and to mine.
But yes, and I cannot get over that. But he did it out of principle.
Out of what principle?
He said he was going to protect Lav, and he did.
I would protect my son, but if he fucking rapes a girl, I'm not going to sit there and help him hide the fucking body. What do you mean? That's not principled. That's just being a selfish manipulator fucking loser. I'm going to defend my little, like, mind friend that I've, like, manipulated to the next dimension because of what? That's not a principled stance. What are you talking about?
I'm not convinced that you are a sexual predator or manipulator or abuser.
No, but I'm just saying that, like, him defending Lav is not, like, that's not a principled position. Like, she fucked up she deserves the consequences of fucking up, right? Protecting your friends from negative consequences is the opposite of being a good friend or compassionate. I bet Mr. Girl said this in a fucking video somewhere because it's the most level 0 take ever, obviously.
No, actually, he didn't say. I think I don't think he wants to say this because I think it would diminish the impact of him actually doing that to protect her. I think he doesn't want to talk about that very much. I think he mentioned it once in like his Discord or something.
Okay, well, anything else?
Okay. So just to be clear, I am not convinced that you are an abuser or a sexual predator.
I don't care that you're not convinced. What I don't like is that it's like a two sides, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff to valuable, blah, 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 blah. That's the irritating part to me. But, listen, I understand,
I do understand that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to do then? Just believe you? Like,
you don't have to believe me. You should say, hey, if you've got evidence, you probably should have presented that alongside these weird public accusations. Or if you're going to make these private accusations, you probably need to present evidence privately as well. You can't just go to people and message them. It's like, hey, what's up, Smith's girlfriend or wife or mom? So I was abused by him. A lot of other people were abused by him, especially women. Do you want to come on the record and say anything? That's a fucked up thing to say if you have no evidence that you're willing to present. Like, do you agree that that's an insane thing to say to somebody privately without any evidence that you're willing to present to anybody?
You're not gonna like my answer, but you know how I feel. I'm confused.
About what?
I'm emotionally confused. I don't know how. I cannot tell how fucked up that is or not fucked up. Like, I don't know what I would do if I was him and I believed what he claims to believe. Then I don't know what I would do. And if I were you, I would do exactly what you're doing. So
there's no right or wrong in your world. It's just people do as people do.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm clearly trying to seek out who's right and who's wrong. And I'm not coming at it like I'm expecting you to be wrong or him to be right or either or. But I just am emotionally confused.
I don't understand I don't know what's confusing.
I'm trying to figure it out.
What part is confusing to you? If you're gonna make an extreme claim against somebody, you should probably have some evidence to back that claim up that you're willing to present. You can't do presentations of private of when you're not going to give any evidence of it.
Here's the matter of fact. Okay, I have not seen, like, I know you and him probably you more than him know a lot more than I do about all of this. And I don't know any of that. And so I'm not willing to just assume either way. So I'm just confused.
You keep saying I don't want to go either way, like it's both the same. One guy is making public and private accusations that I'm a sexual abuser, and I am just sitting here getting those accusations with no evidence presented. And you're like, well, I'm confused. It could be either way. Like, it's a clear right or wrong. There's an obvious yes or no.
Well, yeah. Well, then you're.
Even if I'm guilty, even if I'm guilty, what he's still doing is wrong because he shouldn't be making these accusations without evidence, right?
Well, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to make him hammer down the ethics, and I'm very prepared to be dissatisfied. And if he doesn't answer those questions about the ethics regarding how he's conducting himself within this investigation, what is right and what is wrong, comparing it and contrasting to other examples that are absolutely in the wrong, and so if he doesn't satisfy those, I'm gonna be like heartbroken about it, and I'm not gonna trust him anymore.
Like, the problem is what I told you at the beginning of this conversation. He's already ruined it. He couldn't. Here's the truly part, okay? And I hope him and Lav quote this on me because Lav was running around doing this. He joked on stream about being a sociopath, so I know he is. She quoted me. It's so funny. She quoted me saying, like, I think I made a joke. It's like, if you really want to rape a girl, all you have to do is make her feel really, really, really safe, and she'll you every time. And then she quoted that in some crybaby bullshit stream where she's like, I think that Steven did that to me. He manipulated me by making me feel safe and comfortable, and that was part of his game. Like, are you fucking retarded, actually? But let me tell you the real issue right now with Mr. Girl shit, okay? Are you ready? This is the problem. If I actually did rape 2 or 3 or 4 women and he came forward with that evidence and I was the horrible person he said, you know what I would say is, you can't trust those women because 1, if I had raped them, why didn't it come out until now? And 2, he probably just manipulated them in conversations like he did with Anna. Yeah, maybe he'll release logs or videos, but I bet he cut some of it out. And 3, why would you believe his accusations anyway? He's already hitched his shit onto Lav, who lied about Hassan. So even if I did actually rape people, he is the worst person to investigate it because he's already shown that he's a manipulator because of his conversation that he leaked with Anna, and he's already shown that he's okay backing up lies, which he's done with Lab. So he's really only hurting the raped women that would be coming forward otherwise, because his credibility is so f***ing destroyed that even if I did it, I would just deny it, and I'd point to evidence of him lying and manipulating people, and I would get away scot-free. And then those women would never be hurt if there were actually abuse victims out there. Like, do you understand how like his whole situation is? He's destroyed all of his credibility.
In a lot of ways, I do agree, but not 100%. I don't think he's complete.
The best part is that he knows all of this too, because he's not stupid. So if I do deny anything, he's gonna say, "Oh, he's just playing the game that I knew." Blah blah blah. Because there's always in Mac's world, there's always a way to have it set out.
Do you need me to be 100%? Like I really am not trying to like come at this from a biased perspective.
I understand, but your perceived unbiasedness is a commitment to mental retardation. That's my issue, right? It's not like they're both sides and they both make legitimate points. Even if I was a rapist, his approach has been wrong and f***ed. Even if I was. Because you can't make public or private accusations with somebody if you're not willing to share the evidence. That's just, there is no escaping that. You just can't do that.
Okay then, well then, wouldn't you want to, because I would assume that you're not a rapist, so wouldn't you want to be like, bro, like, continued what you're doing, but you need to follow some fucking rules for how you're doing this so that you don't like drag me through the dirt unreasonably. You know,
he can't take my word for it though. If he truly thinks that I'm a rapist abuser, why the f would he listen to anything that I have to say?
And I'm going to ask him those questions. I need him to set some ground rules for exactly what he thinks is ethical and unethical and how to conduct himself.
Okay. Well, good luck. He's not going to do anything. He's going to continue right on through the same way that he is. He'll message people with the highly loaded messages. I'm keeping a track of the list now. I've already got 30 different people that have reached out to me and told me that he contacted them and they were creeped out or whatever. Who knows how many the list actually is. Some of these people are people that I've known for almost a decade. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's many more that he's reached out to that I don't even know. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll be a like fruitful.
Like I said, if he doesn't satisfy those questions, then I'm definitely going to be disappointed, extremely disappointed. So we'll see.
Okay. Well.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Have fun. I love you, buddy. Be careful.
Okay. Bye.
Wait.
What?
I'm sorry. Hold on. I don't love you. I actually hate you. You're a fucking Max sycophant. Yeah. We'll see how you act afterwards. But right now, on a scale from 1 to 100, my opinion of you, if 50 was neutral, is at like 7%. Okay. You're pretty low on the scale. Okay.
Just because I'm emotionally
because you're both
sides.
No, because you're both sides and you're confused about something that's so obviously.
Okay. I have trust for him, and I'm prepared to lose that trust. But I do have trust for him, and that's just where I am at.
Okay, do you think...
I have trust for you, too.
Do you think that even... first of all, hold on. I'm not asking you to trust me at all. Just look at my record. Look at, like, the facts that are out there. You don't have to trust me at all. That's fine. Nothing that I've...
asking me to.
What? Well, I'm just saying, nothing that I've said right now requires you to trust me. I haven't done anything unethical saying, well, don't trust me. It's all going to turn out okay at the end, right?
Well, actually, no. You said that you had private information that you weren't going to give forward because it would put people in a compromised position, but you said that I should just take your word for it.
You know what? That is one thing. You can ask him about that directly, and we'll see what his answer is. I'm curious.
What is the question I should ask?
Ask him, have you lied to people privately in order to get them to talk to you? Or have you misrepresented facts privately in order to get them to talk to you?
All right.
Because I know for a fact for at least 2 people that the answer to that is absolutely and resoundingly yes. And I probably can get one of them to go on the record. That's one question. Then the second question is going to be I'm asking you this now. How the fuck in your mind have you made sense of the I blackmailed Lav story?
I don't make much sense of it. I don't really know what happened.
Duds, I'm about to drop a Hassan nuke.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
No,
DM it
stop.
to me.
Stop
DM
doing
it to
that.
me.
Lav, you're gonna end your whole fucking career on this
I
shit.
know.
Don't do
I
it.
know.
Not in a good way. Literally, it's not worth it.
I know.
So
But every
stop.
time his name is brought up, I'm like vibrating.
Stop. No, you shouldn't be. Stop.
Wait, do you not
Just
like
know-
Hassan?
Just know Hassan is well known in Los Angeles.
No.
Okay, hold on. Let's chill.
And she deleted it. The original post here literally had stated that she was 17. She changed it. She edited it. Lastly, he brought up the secret I told him out of nowhere. So out of place in the conversation. The secret I told him when he told me his secret. Told me it would ruin me, how bad I'd look. He'd worked it in. I'm not going to be blackmailed. Hassan Parker slept with my very young friend when he was not so young. It was legal. But he's denounced men publicly for doing much less. What the f are you talking about?
What is she talking about? I don't know.
She literally fucking edited that, by the way.
Literally editing.
Originally, she had claimed on that post that it was that she was 17, and now she just deleted it and I guess changed it. It was legal when he was not so young. It was legal. But he's denounced my publicly for doing much less. I don't care about it, and she's never going to come forward. But the fact is, nonetheless, an example of hypocrisy. Another person's hypocrisy is gold to a streamer, a shiny weapon. I was armed. Nothing will come of it. Ethically, it is a small infraction, and it won't be held over my head.
Okay, you know that Lav parrots that story, Mr. Girl parrots that story, and his zombie psycho abuse victim, Shaylin, also parrots that story. All three of them are on the same page with that I blackmailed Lav with a secret that she told me that wasn't about her, that wasn't even true, that she had already leaked multiple times on other public Discord servers, that was already circulating so much in the background that both Trainwrecks and John Zerka came to me independently and asked me if it was true.
Yeah, the thing that I thought immediately when I heard that was if she was giving, so the scenario that she laid out was you were trading secrets so that you would have some mutual assured destruction type aspect in your relationship.
Sure. By the way, it was a real quick thing. That's a total fucking lie, by the way. I volunteered information to her because I was being a friend with her and I wanted to chat with her and stuff, and she volunteered information to me because of whatever reason. But I don't think we were like, I don't think it was like yeah.
Even if I have done that with friends that I'm close with before, it's like, you know, that's not necessarily an abusive thing to do, or at least I've admitted with my friends, you know, a mutually assured destruction. If you know, that's where we're at, you know, but the thing that confused me was if that was the case, then her giving you like information that she knows about someone else, like it would have to be about her for it to make sense.
Sure, it would. And she lies a lot about a lot of things. She lies compulsively. Like, so I
got that one, I think it was said. No, one more time.
What? Oh my god!
One more time.
You're so mad.
I got you the first time.
You did not get me that second time.
I got this one.
No.
Why are you only looking here?
It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If it works, it works.
Okay, fine.
Okay, are you ready?
Fuck me. I can't do this. Okay.
Yeah.
But it seemed like she was trying to kind of
20,000 concurrent viewers.
Do it now. Find Polly shit right now.
No.
Why?
Okay, good enough.
Of murder, even if you
regardless, it's like the most welcoming fucking community club in the world, is if you say you'll convert to Islam, and these people love you for it. So
Who was apparently a huge inspiration to Nico.
yeah. Jesus Christ.
I love how he was like, oh, but he has right-wing values, like segregation.
Thank God.
No, no one wants to wear the bunny ears.
You do.
No, I want everyone to take turns wearing them. Equality. Feminist. So we will have to. I guess it just won't happen.
All right. Did you have you watched any clips of our conversation with Nico since or no?
Like the one that I was there for?
Yeah.
No, I was.
You were mildly present for, sure.
I was present the entire time. I just don't want to dogpile. You guys were doing just great. Okay.
I was thinking this though, that yes, technically it is a 2v1 when we show up, but I feel like that balances it out because if he's there, it's his stream, it's his platform, he has the chat, he has control of the mic. I feel like it's like, that's equal, you know?
I mean, it doesn't matter because it's the feelings. It's gonna be three people. Like,
it
yeah.
definitely looks like 2v1 or whatever.
Did he say anything about us afterwards?
No, but I don't talk to him that much, so I'm not like chatting with him every day. Usually, just if we're gonna do something. They have a hard time hearing you. I'm trying to think. I don't have any other like XLR mics. You guys just have to sit closer. Or speak louder.
Aaron can't do that.
Okay.
Entertaining game from here.
100.
Isn't that like spectacularly slow?
In 10 minutes, if you're trying to trigger me, because I can just trigger the both of you back, okay? You can both leave this apartment crying in 10 minutes if you want. We can do that.
I'm not in the frame.
Leave this. What? Are you guys just trying to?
Isn't that like spectacularly slow?
I think like 600, 700.
Hours are you into this mod? Entertaining. How many hours are you into this mod?
I think like 600, 700.
Isn't that like spectacularly slow?
What? Are you guys just trying to trigger me? Because I can just trigger the both of you back, okay? You can both leave this apartment crying in 10 minutes if you want. We can do that.
I'm not in the frame.
No, unless you to me.
How do I get on the frame? Okay. Here. Am I on the frame now?
Yeah, but I'm almost off my seat.
Why not move your chairs instead of moving your bodies on the chairs?
Well, I don't fucking know. It's your stream setup. I feel like I can't be the one to like dictate.
It's not
it.
my setup right now. You guys are just in it, okay?
Yeah, it's your world. We just live in it.
You have like a whole space. There you go. Work.
I was thinking about this tweet. I've been thinking about this tweet ever since Wicked Supreme put it out. And he was asking an impossible task, which is to name a male role model right now that demonstrates like emotional resiliency, wisdom. What were the other two? There were like 4 characteristics.
Did he put intelligence on there?
I want to say intelligence, but I don't think Wicked would have put what demonstrates fucking intelligence. Hold on. Yeah, name a current male role model who demonstrates patience, wisdom, understanding, and emotional resiliency. So obviously I responded with a picture of Zerka and Train, and I was like, toss up, because I can't fucking decide between the two of them. But like, besides those 2 kings, who do you think demonstrates that in today's media environment?
Was that asked to me?
Yeah, of course.
I don't consume any media, so I have no fucking idea.
That
I just
is
like.
such a fucking lie. You react to everything.
It's not a lie. I don't watch that many movies. I don't have time for fucking TV shows. My main influences growing up were fucking video games, JRPGs, and like anime. So those were like my
Not
early
growing
fucking.
up, that was long ago.
Yeah, but so I don't know if you're gonna ask me who the role models are now. I don't know.
Is there anybody you'd feel comfortable with Nathan watching? That's a streamer?
No, he watches fucking crazy shit. He's gonna be a fucking serial killer. He looks up to Golden Freddy and
What's crazy
Springtrap and like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Have you ever played Five Nights at Freddy's on
Yeah.
stream?
No, fuck no.
You never play it?
No.
You don't think Nathan would find it cool to see you play his favorite game?
No, because I would crush it, and he would feel bad about how superior I am.
I think that's an important lesson to teach young boys, to take like losing well, you know. And I think you could benefit from that lesson. I bet Nathan would crush your ass in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I'm thinking no.
Is that why you only play games that you can't like lose? What? I feel like you're losing Factorio. You've been doing it for so fucking long. You haven't finished it.
Oh my god.
Only you could lose a single player game for real.
True, yeah, true. What is your gaming background? What like Animal Farm or what the fuck is it on the phone?
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Wow, Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Mario Kart. Okay.
Okay.
Stardew.
You know what?
Stardew.
Why don't you throw this up right now? Let's see it. Let's see your go.
I feel like this is the Sneeko equivalent for Destiny.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to prove yourself.
Well, I can hear neither. Pass me those headphones, DJ. Is this the right or the left?
It's mono. Wait. Christ!
Why
I'm
isn't it
moving
ready?
because I'm moving my thing. Okay.
Okay. You have to do it next. What did I get?
You know what? Not too bad.
You were throwing me off because you're
It's okay.
bouncing your leg and it was throwing me the fuck off.
You're okay. Not too bad.
Weren't you caught cheating in this game?
No,
No,
you can't cheat.
no.
It's
You
rhythm.
actually, you actually weren't. I don't think you like using 2 fingers is cheating or whatever.
Okay, go Pixie.
Oh,
You
I'm
ain't-
gonna suck at this.
I don't care.
Okay.
I didn't get enough praise for that, dude. An 844. I like 16.
It sounded really bad. I felt like the site is glitched. It might have given you like a curve or something.
So do I just press space or? So okay. Stop laughing! You're distracting me. I'm gonna.
Dude, you know you.
You kept laughing and I kept getting distracted.
Because like since I can't hear it.
Wow.
Well, it's like
Wow.
all you heard was like my little taps, right?
Well, I just heard
When
you
when you're in the thing, it's like you can hear the beat or whatever. It sounds like you can barely hear yourself tapping it. Oh wait, she needs to do it again.
Yes.
Probably. My dad. 10.
You totally fuck. Oh.
Yep.
Home field advantage and first move advantage.
I can't move on from this until I've beaten it. My life revolves around finishing this fucking stupid shit right now, okay?
Who got you into this game? Was Ragepo?
No, nobody gets me into games. They all start playing after I do, and then they all beat me. Like, they just grind it off stream, and then they all give me tips on everything, so they're fucking annoying.
You don't feel like you need the tips?
Do you use like walkthroughs then?
Not really.
Is that sounds like using walkthroughs, no?
Well, it's like, this game is all about, like, solving puzzles and stuff. If you just use walkthroughs, there's no point in playing the game.
I agree that there's no point in playing this game. I don't know about the other parts.
Didn't like, why are you on this subreddit then if you're not looking for like walkthroughs?
Which is interesting to see how some people implement, like, solutions to things.
You watch other people's Factorio streams?
Not streams, but sometimes you'll see cool little tips you can pick up in the subreddit posts, you know?
Yeah, from cool people who play Factorio.
As opposed to what? People that argue about fucking dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, you had a problem with that?
No. Apparently you do, though.
I'm advancing cutting-edge discourse and ethical dilemmas. Okay?
What's your dog fucking take, Destiny?
1, 2... I don't give a fuck.
You don't have to give a fuck. It's just whatever.
If you want to fuck dogs, knock yourself out.
Naughty Princess did.
Behave.
So.
God, she's so cool.
I respect a girl boss.
Me too.
Would you fuck a girl who's fucked dogs?
As long as she's, like, taking a shower in between. Jesus.
Interesting.
Why is it always dogs? You need to up it to like horses. A pig or something. They, like the go-to is always a dog. Why is it never a cat?
Isn't it normally horses and dogs?
Normally.
I think part of the appeal for a woman is you're getting fucked by some like monster beast thing that's like savagely taking over your body
Naughty
or whatever.
Princess fucked a little dog.
Yeah, I don't think typically you're not fucking little dogs. 'Cause that's like that's like fucking weird.
Yeah, but it's normal to fuck a Great Dane.
What would you? Yeah, well, Great Danes are big and sexy, okay? But like a little itty bitty dog, that's just like.
I ironically think that zoophiles like watching like women engage in it and with larger animals because I think when people consume porn, they put themselves in the perspective.
Newly born twins Sage and Ginger. Fans note the difference in their appearance, notably their cork tops instead of the established shakers. Were they adopted? Perhaps. But I believe this is a case of genetics, similar to the ability of 2 straight-haired parents to produce a curly-haired child and vice versa. But is Mr. Salt the father of these twins? My suspicions rose not from Sage, but from...
Glad to be back.
Wait, was he gonna drown something?
I don't know. Have I ever seen the what?
Nathan, for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking of specifically?
The Asian car driver. You really haven't seen this?
No, I have seen it for you, but I didn't know which one she was gonna say.
clear, I would have
I don't know if I can watch the whole thing. I might get copyrighted, so I might have to speed through some of it. But
to do
he's
something.
trying to find like a woman and get her to do like a certain
Put on an accent.
Asian accent?
And
I
then-
could try, but I don't really want to be like a stereotypical one, but
Have you,
It's an iconic
have you seen this
scene.
movie?
I don't think Breakfast at Tiffany's was the point of that movie.
I mean, it's an iconic title, and they have.
Got an insane
What
life.
is the young bride-daughter thing?
To me,
Oh my gosh.
my legitimate wife now, no joke. We got married, Las Vegas, Nevada last week, and it seemed like she was kind of. And again, I could be wrong. And if she wants to correct me, that's fine, and I'll accept that. But it seemed like she was trying to kind of grift off that. You had people like Andy Worski who knew it was a fake the entire time, begging for a $1,000 donation so that he could review it on air. I mean, these are people who are just, it's a LARP. It's a complete, farce. And somebody like that, you're knowingly, it's not real. You ask for $1,000 worth of donations to review it. I mean, that's about as unethical as it gets. I don't know Britney's deep involvement with it, and I tend to want to err on the side of I like Britney, but it comes down to it where sometimes you have to pick a side, and these people are doing a lot of fucked up shit, to be honest with you.
Damn.
And they, 2 days after my would say that, and I right.
So to one person,
I just don't want to dredge up the family.
The slapping game, but not like
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Dude, like, you just call. I feel like you'd be calling out the framing by that. Like, that he only brings it up or whatever to get a gotcha on you, and it's like, well, if it's low, what gotcha is there to get on me? Like, what are you possibly going to say if it's low? Like, respect.
Yeah, but you're saying
If it's
that but by saying that like it's low, you're like kind of admitting like, okay, I know it's really important, but mine is low, so like please like me for it.
Pick me behavior.
I'm such a pick me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it would textbook skip me.
I've
I'm
never heard
serious.
that before.
Yeah. Look at the chat.
Oh, like it was leaked. I know it was leaked. I don't want to say it again though. I don't care. And like,
What do you know what you guys are gonna be talking about?
I have no fucking clue.
What do they like? I think Fresh and Fit is really boring, personally. What I've seen.
Okay.
Don't they usually ask the questions? Are we allowed? Well, I guess we
No,
don't.
I say it's boring because the topics are meandering and they give the same fucking advice every single time. It's like, it's the most boilerplate self-help shit. It's not. No one's there for like dating advice. What they're there is for like fucking women advice.
Like when you're arguing with some of these guys and talking about like, oh no, like single moms live great lives with all the money they have, I would just let that one hang out there. Like especially